internet, is it better to be feared or respected? I say, is it too much to ask for both? My name is Matthew Kroll.
And hold on to your butts, I'm Jessica Tucker.
It's funny how the colors of the real world only seem real when you vidi them on the screen. I'm Red.
And I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. I'm Shahir Dowd, and welcome to...
The only podcast about movies, 100th episode spectacular, everybody. Yes, come on.
Ow!
We did it.
Yeah, you.
We did it. That was some of our favorite quotes from all time.
I think we should go out Soprano style right now, though, and just cut the black.
That's it? There's no more.
We just got to 100, and the show ends.
Amazing. Guys, yes, thank you so much for tuning in. This is a huge moment for us. And Red and Jess, thank you so much for coming. Two of our favorite guests to have on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank
This
you.
is great.
You were all now, and this is the first time we've had more than 3 people, I think, in the studio.
And you put up balloons, and...
I put up balloons. We all wore very fancy suits. You'll see. Oh, and a very nice dress. You weren't in the dress. What is it?
A lace top.
There we go. I like that.
Yeah.
We all.
I wore a lace top.
You wore a lace top. We all dressed pretty, is what I'm saying. You'll see it in the image. Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun. We want to basically, Shahir, break down how we're doing this.
So I spent a lot of time thinking about what does getting to 100 mean to us, and why is 100 important?
Well, you get an
it's
extra
an
life.
arbitrary number.
You get an
right?
extra life when you get 100 coins. I know
Is it
that.
like 100 Sonic rings and Sonic?
100 Sonic rings. I think there was a max of 50.
I thought when you got
So
100
Sonic didn't make it as far
no,
as we
100
do.
Sonic rings, you get an extra life.
No, that's Mario coins.
No, Sonic rings.
We're off to a great start.
For everybody listening at home, just write them right now.
Yeah.
And just say Shahir's wrong one way or the other.
Look, Matt has gone off to Google.
I'm very
this.
busy.
Yeah, I'm gonna. At any rate, I wanted to do something special. We're obviously not going to do a traditional review like we normally do on this episode. We're going to do something where we're.
So you're not going to argue with Matt?
Oh no, we're already doing it.
We've already started arguing about Sonic rings. But what I wanted to do was take a look back at the 99 episodes that we've done so far and talk about something that I think has come up a few times in many of the reviews we've done, which is which films have we done will stand the test of time?
Define the test of time.
The test of time to me, now you guys might have a different opinion about this. The test of time to me is which of these films are we going to talk about in 10 years in casual conversation, as in they have become part of the cultural zeitgeist of time.
You realize how difficult of a bar
Especially from the
you've set
99, well, and it's not 99 because we do special episodes, obviously.
Sure.
But of the films that we've done, our range is quite wide. So, we'll have like a short film in there occasionally. We'll have a film, an obscure film like A Pigeon Sat on a Branch reflecting on existence, So it's really difficult to figure out.
And it's funny because even when we were trying to brainstorm quotes for the beginning, we're like, what are these quotes that are mean a lot to us from movies? And those are the those films, at least for personal reasons, are the ones that are going to stand the test of time for us.
Well, but that's a good.
Even without the limitation of the 99 or whatever films we've done, to do that in the pool is insane.
Yeah, but there are certain films, obviously, that get referred to as important movies that have stood the test of time. For example, and for whatever you think about these, for example, The Godfather. We talk about, The Godfather is still part of our cultural, of our understanding of pop culture. Citizen Kane gets referred to a lot. I think the reason I bring up Citizen Kane, though, that's interesting, is that Citizen Kane wasn't in the pop culture sort of space for many years. It was a film that actually essentially got forgotten for many years until, say, Pauline Kael wrote her article, Raising Cain. So films kind of drop in and out and come back, and it's interesting to see.
This is the case for all literature.
It is the case for all literature.
Moby Dick suffered the same kind of forgotten about.
Yeah, people forgot about it and brought back. So I'm curious about that, and I'm curious about because we talk, one of the things we talked about, and the episode that really comes to mind is for some reason it's Mission Impossible 5, and that's a deep cut for us. But I think it was
I don't even remember the episode.
That was a great episode to listen to. I re-listened to so many of the episodes in preparation.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yes. You did the 100 hours?
And I did. I think at the end of the day, I think I did 48 hours.
Oh, Jesus
Christ.
And it was
You
a
must-
lot of fun. It was. And Anastasia listened to some with me. Yeah. And you know how when people talk back at the movie in the movie theater? Like
Oh,
how they
who was
talk
she
back
yelling
us?
at more, Matt or me?
Do I really need to say?
Yeah, you do.
It was you.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
It was
I would
you.
have bet
would've
on
thought,
you.
I would have
Yeah.
thought Anastasia had more taste than that.
No,
Keep going.
no, she was so confused. She was like, I thought we ate dinner with this man. He was so nice. How could he say these horrible things?
Okay.
I just went through and counted which ones I had seen, and it was 25 out of
Okay.
100.
That's
Yeah.
that's a good
Yeah, also-
ratio.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Since I'm 25% of the podcast right now, I thought that was okay.
That worked.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
did it.
I made the quota.
Yeah, you guys have watched so many films. Just think about 100 films is a lot of films to watch.
Yeah.
In such a short period of time.
And those are just the ones we reviewed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. We watch films
Yeah.
outside of that
yeah,
as well.
to be critically thinking about these things. I mean, I don't want to make you guys tire out from patting yourselves on the back, but you should really think about
Patting ourselves on the back.
patting yourselves on the back.
I have a question. Whenever you
Top
two,
list.
Shahir and Matt, see a movie together, do you not talk about it until you get here?
Most of the times not.
Yeah,
Like,
we try. It's actually awkward to see a movie with Matt because it's like, afterwards you want to hang out and talk about the movie, but we
can't. And also, we never know how long is too long to be holding hands because it gets sweaty in there and then it's weird.
Yeah, we just shift to crotch holding halfway through the movie usually.
I was
Well,
waiting.
no, let's Shahir shifts the crotch holding. I have more respect for the theater than that.
Or he has more respect for me, is what it is. I have no respect for him. I'll just grab bits of him. I'll grab him by the pussy. No.
Wow. Okay.
Before we go, so essentially, I want to talk about the test of time, whatever that means. We're going to get into that in a little more detail. Before we go on, I did want to make a shout out this week. Some very sad news. Filmmaker of note for me, particular, but I think a filmmaker of note for everyone.
Yes.
Jonathan Demme passed away at the age of 73, and he's a filmmaker that I think I was looking back, and my quote at the beginning was from The Silence of the Lambs. I think The Silence of the Lambs might have been one of those first movies where I was like thinking about the construction of the movie because it was definitely the first movie I can think of. It actually wasn't, now that I say it out loud, but where I read the book and then watched the movie, and I was trying to sort of compare how the book had translated into the movie. And the thing about The Silence of the Lambs is it translates perfectly. It is probably one of the best adaptations of a novel to screen. And then he went on to do Philadelphia the following year, which again is a phenomenal film. The years after that, he didn't sort of have the Oscar spotlight on him as much. He did a adaptation of Toni Morrison's Beloved with Oprah Winfrey. He did a couple of remakes, The Truth About Charlie, which is a remake of Charade. He did the Manchurian Candidate remake. But the one, the jewel in the crown that I think is really astounding is a film called Rachel Getting Married. I don't know if you guys saw that with
Yeah,
Anne
yeah,
Heard of
Hathaway.
it, yeah.
It's phenomenal. I think that movie is fantastic. And it kind of showed, this is a guy who like made such a huge impact in the horror thriller genre, and he never went back to the well. Like he
He just kept moving forward.
he kept moving forward and trying different things.
Even my most favorite, like what I would consider prolific directors, like that move on and try to do other stuff, and it's never, maybe even not quite as good. I'm not saying his stuff isn't, but I'm saying like then they always go back to what they're like known for and great at.
There's a lot of pressure as the director.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. I mean, like, look, I love David Fincher, but David Fincher continues to go back to the serial killer genre because and he does do interesting things with it, but it is kind of like sometimes when he does go back, you're like, oh, are we doing this again?
Yeah, but I'm not even sure if it's a comfort zone for him. I think he
It's
finds
just his brain.
Yeah, I think his brain finds something compelling about that, as opposed to a more like studio oriented director.
I mean, you could even
like oh, we're just going to do another action film. We're going to keep doing the same action film over and over again.
I mean, the other thing with Jonathan Demme as well is he was known for his music documentaries. He even as recently as 2016 did Justin Timberlake and the Tennessee Kids, which I think is on Netflix.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, and then Stop Making Sense, the Talking Heads movie. So he's a guy who just had a big range and started out like almost every great American filmmaker working with Roger Corman, and working on a film called Caged Heat, which I've seen.
Caged Heat.
Yeah,
It's kind of funny. We owe so much of our cinematic masterpiece history to Roger Corman.
It's amazing because I didn't realize Roger Corman is still alive.
Yeah.
He's still, he tweeted about Jonathan Demme's passing, and I was like, oh wow, the mentor is still going. He's Yoda-ing on this whole thing.
It's his force spirit.
So just much respect out to Jonathan Demme. His films have meant a lot to me personally, and it was very sad to hear his passing. I feel like he's a filmmaker that does, like has moved away from the spotlight, but in relation to our conversation that we're about to have, he has made at least one film that I think will stand the test of time forever. And I think if you dug deep into his catalog as well, you will find many films that will personally hold the test of time.
And I firmly believe in the future we'll return to his body of work.
Of course, yeah.
And we'll talk about it. Like there's gonna be periods where we kind of don't, because there's exciting things. But when we have to dig back down, we're gonna think about things like Philadelphia. We're gonna think, well, obviously Silence of the Lambs you guys brought up, or Stop Making Sense. These
Something Wild, Melvin and Howard. Like this is a guy who's really made an impact on the cinematic world. And the other thing I heard, I did a bunch of reading about him because I was just sad that he passed.
Can't you?
I mean, occasionally. I read good.
You notice he always says that, like, I was doing a bunch of reading.
I was doing a bunch of reading.
A bunch of reading, which is the most eloquent sentence someone who does read could say, a bunch of reading.
Yeah, agreed.
I read a lot, so much.
But he was still a champion of new young filmmakers as well, like to the point where at the screening of Moonlight at the Toronto Film Festival, he got up in the line of people that, do the Q&A and didn't introduce himself as Jonathan Demme, the director of Silence of the Lambs, but just got up as like an audience member to say, my God, this film was amazing. I loved everything you did here. And he just wanted to like talk about the movie. So he was just a guy who was still passionate about cinema and just a sad loss to the filmmaking community.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Shahir, just sort of pivoting on that, if people were fans of cinema, where could they actually find us to talk about him or other things in the movie biz?
Yeah, if you wanted to reach out to us about your favorite Jonathan Demme films or talk about the films that we've done as reviewers, you can do so at onlymoviepodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on Twitter at onlymoviepod. Go to our website, onlymoviepodcast.com, and write us in. Yeah, we're really curious to hear what people think about Jonathan Demme and definitely about your films that have stood the test of time. And I know we're going to define that more clearly here, but I'm sure...
Write us in. Let us know what you think the films, for you personally, will stand the quote test of time. And we will, over the next couple episodes, I'm sure, be reading off a bunch of different people's opinions.
One email we got was from Laura, who I believe is in Australia, but was just saying congrats to our 100th episode.
Thanks, Laura.
And she was basically saying what her favorite episode of ours was.
Oh, God.
Which was Hunt for the Wilderpeople, because that's where I found you guys. I love the Star Wars marathon and Shahir's slow deteration into insanity for each episode. The Drive episode was pretty hilarious. Moonlight I put on almost immediately after I watched the movie. And she enjoys any episode she's requested. She's requested a few from us.
Yeah.
Keep up the good work and arguments. As a film student, I cannot thank you enough for the filmmakers, film ideas, techniques, etc. that I discovered through listening to your show.
Oh, wow.
That's really nice.
Thank you, Laura.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I mean, if you, hell, keep requesting stuff because it's super
Why are
fun.
you guys surprised about this? You're literally the only
only one.
podcast
Because
about
there's
movies.
lots of podcasts about other things. Mark Maron's been doing some amazing stuff. Last Podcast on the Left is wonderful. Hell, if you're gaming, The Angry Chicken. There's other podcasts. There's only so much time. You have to. People watch the movies and they're like, they're going to listen to a podcast.
Not everyone sits down and listens to 48 episodes in a row. By the way,
Okay.
they should though.
But
they should.
Thanks for spiking our numbers.
Yeah.
Also, last bit of housekeeping. iTunes. If you want to review us after this 100th episode, that would be lovely. As Red has proven, there's lots of work of ours that you can review.
I listened to you on the Apple TV streaming to my stereo system, so it was big. It was
So you hear us you feel like we're in the room with you.
It's like I'm sitting with you.
That's terrifying.
Is it more like that than right now?
Yeah, I think it is actually.
Okay, well, we try.
That's terrifying.
But yeah, leave us some reviews. We'd really appreciate it. So Shahir, I enjoyed this brainchild you've concocted. Why don't you start us up? Do you want to give the full definition of what you're thinking?
Well, I pulled a couple of quotes from an interesting article that was
From your reading.
From my reading, my bunch of reading that I was doing.
Just reading your own writing.
Yeah, I was reading. I wrote stuff, I published it, and then I read it again. I tend to do that.
Quote Shahir Depp. This is getting awkward.
I'm not saying that a genius said this, but a genius did say this.
Oh God.
No, here's an interesting. I found an NPR article about films that stand the test of time, and this is usually a conversation people have around the Oscars every year. Like what films are gonna stand the test of time.
And it's amazing how wrong the Oscars often get.
I know, and I wonder what the Oscars means, because is the Oscar a metric for this is a film that
Absolutely not.
No way.
I think that's what it's trying to do.
It's trying to.
One word for you, Oliver.
I would have said Chicago or The Artist or,
Yeah.
like even more recent films, but sure.
Yeah, and Spotlight.
Oh, God. A movie that we'll definitely be talking about in the near future, I'm guessing. It's funny how, like, the last couple of years, it's been Spotlight, Moonlight. Next year should be Daylight.
Blacklight.
Oh.
What would Blacklight be about?
It'd be a porno, probably.
It's a stoner.
Strike two.
It's a stoner.
Yeah,
comedy.
She's holding it down.
I'm-
What happens at strike three?
I have his tally.
Yeah. Please keep track of all of the nonsense, all of the sexually inappropriate things she hears says.
You
just
lose a
saying, well-
Sonic ring for every.
Oh.
Well, I've got 100.
You,
so.
no, you have 98 apparently. Actually, it's more like 48, but we won't tell them.
I'm just saying what we're all thinking.
Not true. Let's not talk about Blacklight anymore. Go on with your famous quote.
Okay, so Steven Spielberg was polled in this NPR interview saying, what makes movies timeless are audiences. He said that they are the custodians of these visual memories, these stories, and by holding onto a film or a fragment of a film, that marks a time in your life that will always be a part of your life. Bob Mondello, who's a film critic in the same article, said, man, I'd love to say it was quality and universal themes and leave it at that, but I think it can equally be the matter of an audience of fiction or when in your life you see a film and of the ever-changing zeitgeist. So I think already that brings into a couple of different categories for Test of Time, because I think each of us will have films that have stood the test of time for us personally,
Yeah.
but not necessarily in the. There's a film I love called Zitz, which is this kid movie.
Oh,
about
yeah, you've
spies.
talked about it. Yeah.
yeah. But I can't even find that movie on VHS now. You
Right.
know, but I love that movie.
Why are you looking for it on VHS?
Because it's not on DVD.
Okay.
You know, like I can't
Look
even-
for it on Laserdisc.
No, if it didn't even make it on VHS, do you think it's going to be on Laserdisc?
You'd be surprised what's on Laserdisc.
So, and then there are obviously the films that are award winners. There are which sometimes make it into the public consciousness. We just mentioned a few that seem to be forgotten already. And then there are the films that are blockbusters, which make it into the public consciousness either by virtue of being good or by virtue of the fact that they're on the most screens and they make the most money. So I think, what I tried to do while having this conversation going through our list was categorize, these movies according to three different categories. And they were blockbusters, award winners, and cult favorites. So films that don't necessarily make a lot of money, but seem to like find an audience.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Before we do that, I want to talk about forgettable films. I think this is a really good.
Well, we've had a
baseline.
lot of discussions about forgettable film and whether or not it's valid.
Yeah.
I think
What do
it
you mean
is.
valid?
Well, you in the past, good buddy, good pal, have sort of shat on films because they don't leave a lasting impression with you.
Right.
Sometimes completely incorrectly too.
Oh.
Like sometimes I'm listening to Shahir and I'm wondering if he even saw the movie he's talking about.
Give us a reference point. Give us a
Your
reference point.
Deadpool review.
Right.
So
I think Deadpool is a forgettable film.
No, and
No.
It absolutely is not. In fact, if I was polled right now,
So a statistical anomaly of 1.
I would say, yeah. You're quoting Spielberg. Statistical anomaly of 1.
I think. Are you putting yourself next to Spielberg as?
Well, I'm sitting next to the genius Shahir Dowd. I can obviously sit next to Spielberg.
Okay.
This is ridiculous. But if you were to ask me, it would definitely be like my top 3 favorite kind of like cult films.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm not saying your opinion is not valid.
Oh, well
But normally you would.
what I'm saying
normally I would.
is you're factually wrong.
Oh, factually wrong about I'm factually wrong about my opinion.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
He has an article that he wrote himself to back himself up.
Yeah,
okay?
You should challenge each other's personal written articles.
No, but for instance, Deadpool is something that could be dismissed as forgettable and has been by more erudite-minded individuals
Yeah.
who may have missed the point that they're all supposed to be 2D cutout characters because it's actually just a coping mechanism that he's developed.
I don't buy that argument one bit. That's basically an excuse for like any bad movie.
No, it's not. Not when it sets it up. Matt pointed out at the very beginning, they set up the rules. They followed the rules, and there is a strong emotional relationship that's going on. It happens to be presented as a secondary thing because it's the fun cartoon romp through that is his coping device that we're experiencing. Will it work in another film? I don't know. Is it sequel
I'm worried
worthy?
about that, yeah.
I don't know because of it's very psychological in that sense. But more importantly, it's very memorable for so many people because he's such a cult icon.
I think,
And it's an important moment in comic book movies for being rated R.
not to get into Deadpool too much because we're going to talk about it.
No,
I'm
it's gonna
sure.
be great. Jess, pass the popcorn real quick. I'm really enjoying it.
But I think just to paraphrase my thoughts on that movie was that he is a memorable character. He's unfortunately in a fairly forgettable film. That's my opinion of that movie.
I don't know where I stand on it because I feel like I enjoyed it, like I enjoyed a roller coaster ride, but like I haven't thought about it since.
Yeah. I just
think watched it again 2 days ago because after listening to you
wanted to make sure?
That's it. We're freaking watching this again, and I'm going to do a feminist critique of how completely wrong Shahir is and how powerful of a movie this is when dealing with interpersonal relationships and tragedy and overcoming.
Is this because she picked him?
What's that?
Is this because she pigged him in the movie? Is that why this is a powerful critique?
Oh, well, I never
you know,
think
like because
about
I don't buy that feminist critique argument
Yeah.
either. But you know, more power to Anastasia, and I'm not giving her a chance to rebut. But
Rebut. It all comes full circle.
Yeah.
forgettable movies, guys. Let's go around the room and just say, of the movies that we reviewed, what are the ones that you think are the most forgettable? And I know this is sort of a little bit of an oxymoron because we're asking you to remember films that you've probably
Hey,
forgotten.
remember those films you forgot, Jess? Tell us what they
I
are.
had to revisit the list. So Terminator Genesis was the first one.
Yeah.
ISIS,
Yeah.
yep. Can't
Yeah.
disagree with that
Yeah.
one.
That's 100%. I'm in agreement.
Yeah.
What was your sort of criteria for what makes a forgettable film? Like, other than I've just forgotten it.
I don't think that in 10 years anyone would remember. that it
Ever
was
think
made.
about it? Well, I was going to say, like, I mean, Terminator 2 obviously is one of my
Yeah.
it's one of my seminal films
Yeah.
for me, and I would
Yeah.
say almost as a generational touch point.
Yeah.
And you can I've suggested it to sort of like younger filmmakers or whatever who haven't seen the movie. They're like, do I need to see the first one? I was like, no. Like, you can just jump in. I mean, the first one's fine.
Yeah.
But like every time I asked someone to watch Terminator 2, they come back and be like, holy shit, like I didn't know like action movies back then could be like that.
Yeah,
like
could be that good.
So, but then
Yeah.
you jump to Genesis and you're like, okay.
I think Genesis is a really interesting reference point as well because it's kind of, you know, the thing about Terminator 2 is that it's so memorable and it's so at the cutting edge of technology and we should have, and you know, Genesis is what, 20 years later and we should be like at a point, you know, we should have reached the next level. But
the
when
T-1000 looks worse than Genesis. How is
Yeah.
that possible?
it's just the worst movie.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is that your one or have you got others that
You
you're
know,
thinking about?
I hate to say this because I really, really liked Sicario too, but I don't
Don't think
I
about
don't
it.
think
So that's
about
the
it.
opposite side of the spectrum. I feel like Sicario is a film that's like made well, but there's something off with it that does make it fall into
It'll
like
know-
Genesis is a bad movie.
Right.
Even though Lizard Brain me liked it at the time, I will never sort of think about it. And I didn't really, I don't need, like, it's like, I remember scenes, whatever. But Sicario, like you watch it and you're like, I'm enjoying this. And then afterward, I'm like, actually, I don't know if I did. And then it gets into that weird sort of, at least for me.
I've watched it again since then because I think about that movie a lot. But I agree, it's not necessarily a film that might hold cultural significance. But
Right.
it, personally, for me, I think it was
Right.
it's an excellent movie.
like I would recommend it to someone, but
Yeah.
like I don't know if I
Yeah,
would
I don't know if I
try
could
to watch
say
it again.
it's not gonna. I don't think it sets the world on fire.
Right.
But it's a very, very good movie.
Yes.
But Jess, have you got any others or that you were thinking about?
No, she forgot them all.
We forgot them all.
Well.
All right, Red.
All right. So, as I explained off camera,
You're really in here to fight with me, aren't you?
no. Yes. No, I'm absolutely yes. As I explained off camera, this is a very difficult question.
Yeah.
Okay, because we're talking about a personal relationship with film, a personal relationship that the film has to any given audience. And, sometimes I can't remember films that I've seen that I really like. And it doesn't make them forgettable. It just makes me tired when I watch them. Like you saw me struggle to think of a line from my favorite movies.
And it was a Clockwork Orange, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yes. But I found that out of the 100 films or so that you reviewed, so many of them, I thought initially so many of them fell into the forgettable category. But then as I went back, I realized, not that many actually, just 1/3 of the amount of them that I've seen. And when you think about it though, how many movies a year does the industry put out and how many of them do we end up talking about? So I think that's actually a significant number that you guys have brought to the table here. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Oh, you're welcome.
And they kind of,
we deal in forgettable.
Forgettables become one of two things. They become like the kind of like studio tripe forgettable. Let's just say what we have to say. Fantastic Four, for instance.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Right.
Forget it. In fact, I think that's it's rememberable for a number of reasons, just not the right ones.
Yeah. Maybe comic book blogs 10 years from now will be mentioning it about how terrible it was.
It's kind of like Ang Lee's The
Its
Hulk.
existence isn't forgettable, but the actual film itself, with you like watching it, is 100% forgettable.
So there's that. And then for me, there's other films that just have not stood the test of time very recently.
Okay.
For instance, Kung Fury for me is one that is just not worth rewatching because
It's
it's just
interesting, though, because-
jokey and the spectacle doesn't hold up upon multiple reviews. I'm like, oh well, that's my favorite video game that I never played, and I'm done with it.
It's interesting. I don't know if I would put Kung Fury is a film that I would probably move off the list just because it's a short film. And I think it's more of a promotional piece.
That's what I'm saying. It's a promotional piece. It's not holding itself together.
But
I think it holds up better than a lot of.
I disagree with both of you on different points. I think we shouldn't take anything off because it's a short film or a promotionally nonsense thing. Also, I think it's interesting, Red, that you didn't like it upon a repeat viewing. I've watched it. You know what it is, though? Here's what it is.
You watch it with friends and have a party.
You all know. Yeah, I watched it with. Every time I've watched it with someone who hasn't seen it.
Yeah.
And that is a fun. And I'm always like, yeah. So it does that. Maybe I would probably feel the same way you feel if I was just like popping it on, like hanging out.
And I think that's a great film to discuss because it really brings in audience reaction.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So this is a really good film to think about whether or not it's actually forgettable or not. For me personally, it is. For you, it hasn't become because you're always a fresh audience. You have a personal relationship with this film, and the personal relationship is sharing it with friends.
Yeah. All right. Touche.
Yeah.
Got any others?
Oh my goodness! As far as forgettable films, I mean, Entourage, Genesis, Fantastic Four, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Sword of Destiny, Batman v Superman, X-Men Apocalypse, Warcraft, Suicide Squad.
Didn't you champion Warcraft in a
I did.
in a
I
panel
did.
once?
But I said it was good, but it doesn't mean it's memorable.
Right.
I don't think I'm going to be talking about it in 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think a films class is going to be teaching students about it in 10
Right.
years.
Right.
But that
I don't
doesn't mean
think
that-
it's going
yeah.
to be in the film lexicon as a conversation piece. We're not going to
Yeah.
go to a bar and
That's
talk about that
different-
one time.
Yeah, that's a different pedigree altogether. I feel like films that are shown in like film school.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that pretty much sums up the kind of like, I'm not going to remember. I don't think we're going to be talking about it over tacos.
Yeah.
All right, I'll run through mine very quickly. There are many films that I think in recent years, I guess if there's one thing that I've been trending against or trying to rally against, it's films that tend to do nothing. And so films like Jurassic World does nothing. I
Disagree.
I think it just
It
does.
produced a sequel.
But it does nothing as a story. It does nothing. You know, like think about Jurassic Park versus Jurassic World in terms of what they do. And Jurassic World just does nothing. It's treading water. And one of the things for me that I do have a problem with is films that tread water. So Jurassic World is one of those. Mission
That's
Impossible
very true. 'Cause
5.
You really can't. I can't remember the plot.
Yeah, no,
I remember I liked it.
I remember it
Here's
fine.
the thing, though. I can't rule those out because they're part of a larger collection that's always going to be in a box set. So people are going to be referring to this. It's like I couldn't rule out Star Wars Rogue One, even though I don't particularly like it. And I don't think people will be actually significantly thinking about it or trying to recreate or deconstructing it anytime in the future. But because it's attached to the rest of the Star Wars universe, it's always going to be in our mind.
Right, but is that the same reason why? I mean, like, for example, because Jurassic World is attached to the Jurassic universe, does that mean it's worth something?
I really do. I think in discussion, we're always going to talk about how Jurassic World theme park mega Raptor. What was it called? Jurassic World?
Raptor chapter? Is that what you're about to say?
Raptor chapter.
Wow.
How it's.
That's good.
I would read any book with a chapter. in it.
I
Raptor
would,
chapter.
Yeah.
In fact, I would begin reading. Shahir's already read it, though.
In fact, I wrote it.
But I think people will always be talking about how Jurassic World, like you, doesn't match up to the. And because of that, it's not going to be forgotten. Because of that, it's always going to be a footnote. It's always going to be.
It might be remembered negatively, but it will still be remembered.
Yeah.
So does that mean Terminator Genesis will also be remembered?
No,
Mission
and that's the interesting
that's
thing.
the argument.
But this is what it is.
That is my argument.
But
Yeah, that's your
I'm gonna kind of flippy floppy on both of that because so Jurassic World for me,
Flip flop away.
I liked it. I've watched it a couple times. I think it's, and again, I know this is all personal and conjecture, and we're going to be doing this whole thing the entire day. But like the reason why I think. Like for instance, Terminator Genesis, even though it is attached to the Terminator franchise, is utterly forgettable, versus Jurassic World is, I don't think, utterly forgettable. Does Jurassic World fall into a lot of tropes? Yes. Does it do anything close to what the original Jurassic Park did? No. But again, it's the fourth movie in a franchise, and I'm not saying that's an excuse, but it's like a bit of a reason of like, you're never going to have your Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is coming out soon, and it's not going to be as good as the first one. Okay. It's just not. So like, actually Terminator 2 might be the only exception of a sequel that I've been like, holy shit, this
Godfather Part 2.
I don't know.
Godfather Part 2 is extraordinary.
But no, I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying I don't know if I like it better than 1. But my point is this. Jurassic World does enough right for me, and add that in to the fact that it is attached, and you will always have the dichotomy of the original Jurassic Park and Jurassic World and why Jurassic Park is better. You take those two things, in tandem, and that's going to make it not forgettable. That's going to make it like still people will discuss it.
I feel like the Jurassic World and Jurassic Park are going to be the two things that are brought up in a seminar talking about the difference between the two.
There is actually a video essay of comparing those two films and talking about why one works and one doesn't.
Yes.
It's a really good video. I think I posted it on our Facebook.
You did. I remember that.
Yeah, it was the casting in Jurassic Park was just like so. All of those characters are so memorable, and Chris Pratt has to hold all of World all by himself.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, I just disagree with the idea that because it's part of a franchise, it's therefore, which has some great movies, it's therefore memorable, because that means that Terminator Genisys is therefore memorable, and it's not.
But no one's holding this. The difference is no one's holding Terminator Genisys up against like Terminator 2, where everyone is holding, because they're not. There's like, oh, this is a shitty movie, and then people are trying to figure out why Jurassic World didn't work as good as Jurassic Park. People are doing essays on it. I guarantee you, maybe there's one
probably
or two
an essay on Terminator Genisys why it doesn't work versus Terminator 2.
But not as many people
reads
are.
a lot.
I know.
But
Not as many people are having that discussion. That's my point.
Right. I look, again, it's not a personal, like if you personally attach to Jurassic World, more power to you. I personally
What
think
else?
it's
What else in your forgetting list?
film, and I disagree with that argument that because it's part of a franchise, it's therefore memorable.
Sometimes
because Mission Impossible,
not because it's part of a franchise, because it's part of a crazy cult franchise. Like these are franchises.
Here's a point that I would inject into to help your argument out a little bit. If it's part of
See what I did there?
If it's part of a larger narrative, and the narrative is continuous through the franchise, then I think you can make that argument that therefore it has value. But in the case of Jurassic World, Jurassic Park, I don't think that is the case. I think
here's the thing: what series of films seems to do that all the time that Shahir keeps rallying against? Did I quote one in the beginning of this podcast? Was it all?
Hey,
was
guys,
it all
guys,
the Marvel
guys, for a
movies?
second, did you guys feel the smug quotient go up in this
Oh
room?
no, that was the most smug I've ever had. It was amazing.
It was like just, that South Park episode when it was like smug.
Yeah. Oh, it was wonderful.
I made a promise
really good
to myself to not feed you Marvel Universe stuff.
Hey, that's fine. That's fine. And you know what? If this is my one moment for having 100 episodes of me liking the smell of my own farts, then that is 100% fun.
So other movies in that space, I think Mission Impossible 5 is ultimately a forgettable film. I think The Force Awakens is a forgettable film. I think Rogue One is a forgettable film. And in the case of filmmakers that I really like, that I think have made forgettable films. Quentin Tarantino's The Hateful Eight I think is a forgettable film. The Coen Brothers' Hail Caesar is a forgettable film.
Can I stop you there too?
What?
Well, another thing that I realized is that these guys, Tarantino, Coen Brothers, have an oeuvre that's just always discussed against itself. Do you think that people won't be discussing Hateful Eight as a film as a part of the Tarantino oeuvre, like 10 years from now in, say, film school, or pretending to be drunk over non-alcoholic drinks?
I'm sure it'll come up in conversations for people who have watched all of Quentin Tarantino's movies and look at his body of work as a single oeuvre. Mm-hmm. But I think the average film goer is going to talk about Pulp Fiction and probably won't talk about The Hateful Eight.
Can you both say oeuvre at the same time?
I knew you were going to say that.
3, 2, 1.
Right?
Oeuvre.
Yeah. All right. That was for the ladies in the audience.
My number one forgettable film that we reviewed, though, it has to be Entourage. I think that is completely...
I didn't even know that was a movie.
There you go. There you go. Hey! It's a film that treads water, that does nothing. It simply exists for as a road sign to, hey, we did the series once. Here's a longer 2-hour version of one episode.
And it's so funny because that is at the top of my forgettable list, but also still kind of liked it.
Oh,
but I'll never think about it again, and I don't have to.
You know what did that and work though was Sex and the City, because the Sex and the City movie did really well.
What do you mean financial? But for you personally, do you ever think about the Sex and the City movie?
No.
But what I was actually
But like people do, I guess.
Right.
So back with Same Night Movie Review with Stephen Buja, who we'll be hearing from later, we reviewed the Sex and the City movie, and I'd never seen Sex and the City before ever.
I didn't watch the series either.
The first 45 minutes of the Sex and the City movie are really good.
Do they have Sex in the City?
No, but this is the thing, and then it like takes this weird like nosedive into like just time jumping with holidays and like every stupid decision over. And I was just like, "What is the series?" I couldn't tell what the series was like, so I never even looked. Anyway, but so sorry, that was a tangent. So yes, Entourage.
What's your movie?
Oeuvre.
Entourage. Isn't that what the robot was saying when he was delivering little Luke and Leia? Entourage, obviously. Also, my other one was Whiskey Tango Foxtrot back at episode 33. I liked it, but I was like, come on. I just wanted to like remember it. I wanted it to mean something.
You just like it because it has Foxtrot in the title.
No, I like it because it had Tina Fey and Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a double feature that I would go see at any point. And then, oh God, Shahir, I'm so sorry, but Spotlight.
Now, I would actually agree with you.
What?
That it hasn't like left a cultural imprint, but I have a reason for that, which is that I think it, and I brought this up in another episode, but I think sometimes the winning Best Picture Oscar can be negative against the film
nail in a coffin
because it kind of puts the full stop on the conversation about that movie.
Well, it won.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
so
great.
Super interesting. Yeah, no, I agree with that.
I love that movie, and I've watched it 3 times since. I know you're not a fan of it, but yeah, I do agree that sometimes having all the accolades does kind of work against you in the long run.
I was trying to look at it from, and it's hard because I do really dislike the film, but I'm trying to not even like. I've said the things I like about it before. Like there's things in it that are good filmmaking, but the thing about it is if we're going off of the will this be discussed in 10 years, I don't think anyone, film class or no, will bring up Spotlight. I think they might be like, I remember that movie, I liked it.
I wonder though, to me, I think Spotlight might come back up in the same way that All the President's Men came back up. From its society,
like a cultural touch point.
Yeah, and right now we're having this entire conversation about fake news, about journalism, and I feel like Spotlight might come back up in reference to that.
Okay,
so that's a fair argument.
Yeah, but again, I also love that movie.
All right. Well, so that's pretty much all my forgettable ones. I'm sure there's more, but I just can't seem to remember. So before we break down, I wanted to go through I wanted to go through the lists of Blockbuster, then Cult, what was it? Cult something, and then award winners.
Okay.
But before we do that, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special treat for episode 100. Previous guests of the show have sort of from around the world have sent in their world. Wait, hold on, I got it. From around the world have sent in
mostly New York.
Mostly New York have sent in their thoughts and their sort of feelings about what their favorite film was this year, and also Shahir. They actually reviewed us.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to play.
I feel like if Anastasia wrote in, I would not be enjoying this.
The thing that needed to be done to have a thing here was to be on the show.
Okay.
So
sorry, Anastasia.
But she's more than welcome. Anastasia, come on down.
I would just love to see her listen to this episode.
Oh, I can't wait because I did
Film it.
The voice I did for her.
Yeah.
Terrible. She's gonna kill me for that.
Okay.
Also, to fill in the blanks, Anastasia is Red's wife, correct?
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
We didn't say that?
I don't think it was established at the beginning.
She could have been anybody.
She could have been anybody.
She could have been the mythical princess from Russia Town.
Fans on the show haven't looked at our wiki page.
We have a wiki page? All right.
I wrote it.
So, of course you fucking did. All right. This is
and then read it all.
All right. Here we go.
Hey, what's up? This is Gabrus, I guess, recording a little thing for the only podcast about movies. So, my favorite film the show has reviewed in the past, I feel like in recent films, it's got to be Arrival. I'm a big sucker for movies that promote science positively. Even The Martian, #1 comedy of the year, I really loved it, and in Arrival, any movie that makes breaking down a sentence give me chills, then holy shit. And how come Amy Adams wasn't nominated for that? She's fucking good in that movie, and she's doing a lot. And it's very interesting, and based on all the other nominees that year, fuck it. Okay, now a quick review of Shahir. Shahir, I've never met you. Even the one episode of the podcast I did, you weren't on. So, what can I say about you other than I know you hate fun, based solely on what Kroll tells me about you. Shahir, I'm sorry to tell you this, but why don't you just like fun, for crying out loud, bro? Okay, now a quick review of Kroll, or Matt, whatever you guys call him. Let's just say this. One of the first times I met Kroll, he was producing a segment we were shooting at Comic-Con, and he had on a blazer over a Spider-Man costume. So that's an adult man who wore that to a job. Yes, we were shooting at Comic-Con, but he was a producer. So one of the first times I worked with Kroll, I could see the entire outline of his genitals, and I knew I liked him at that moment. All right, guys. Congratulations on 100 episodes. Here's to 100 more. Although, you know I don't really listen to that many.
That was John Gabers, everybody, from the amazing podcast High and Mighty.
I'm looking at the outline of your crotch right now, and I really don't like you.
Well, I mean, I've taught you to fear it.
About his Arrival argument. Great argument.
Yeah.
And I forgot how excited I was about that. So,
Agreed.
yeah.
Agreed. All right. Next, we're going to hear from another Guy Code brother in arms, Mr. Andrew Schultz.
Hi, this is Andrew Schultz. I am currently doing this review thing on the 6 train going downtown. Anyway, let's get to it. A movie that you guys have reviewed. Here's my review. Arrival. I really loved it. I think it's an amazing movie. That being said, I was very high when I watched it, and I don't smoke weed at all, so I'm not sure if it was the mango licorice I was eating that made it so delightful. I'm not sure if it was the vegan Oreo cookies that I was eating that made it so delightful, but something made it very, very delightful. Now, my review of Shahir, my boy. My boy, love Shahir. Great guy, great hair, great height. Okay? These are all aesthetic things. I'm describing him like I would describe a girl that I was dating to one of my friends. But besides that, intelligent dude, really like breaking down the nuances of not only film but religion with him. We have great discussions outside of, just movies. Kroll, I love you. Love Kroll. One of my favorite people, to be honest, when it comes to the shows I work on over at MTV. Always happy to see him, always smiling, always in a good mood, always in a shirt that's 3 sizes too small. So what's going to happen is, for the 101st episode, we're going to buy him a size medium shirt. That being said, Matt seemed to really know and care about film. Always down to hear your opinions on these things, and it's not just film, it's story in general. He got me reading comic books at 30 years old. I mean, that's influential right there, right? You get a 30-year-old man to read a comic book. He must know what's going on. He must have some charisma, With that kind of charisma, you could get anybody to do anything. I digress. I wish you guys the best. I can't wait to come back on. I almost got run over by a bicycle messenger doing this for you. Wish you the best in the future, much success, and I look forward to coming back on and doing another movie. We gotta figure it out. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz, star of both big and small screen and co-host with Charlemagne the God of the Brilliant Idiots podcast.
That was really exciting how out of breath he got.
We got a whole thing of him running from the subway up to the street. Oh my God, Schultz, thank you so much. And I'm waiting for that shirt, man. We'll get the medium shirt. All right. And the last one in this little batch is from our good friend at Extra Credits and our brother in gaming arms, Mr. James Portnow. Check out all of Extra Credits stuff on YouTube. They just hit 1 million subscribers. It's all awesome. He did something a little different.
This is James Portnow from Extra Credits. I was just thinking fondly back to that time that DJ Duck Hunt Demon and I did that marathon episode reviewing every single Troma film. I still disagree with him about the humanist underpinnings of Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD, but him revealing the intertextual ties between Cannibal a Musical and Yeti a Love Story just changed my life forever. So, DJ, keep fighting the good fight to make sure that someone out there is keeping the idea of doing a podcast about movies alive.
Yeah, so that was my buddy James. He's talking, my alter ego, whenever I DJ, is DJ Duck Hunt Demon. There's a whole mask and a costume. I'm sure you're all very impressed.
It's on the wiki.
It is on the wiki. It is now. So those are just some of the wonderful. Thank you, James, for writing in.
Thanks to everyone.
Yeah, thanks to everybody. This has been. Thank you, everybody, for all of your kind words thus far, and hopefully in the future. But now, it's time to start talking about your blockbuster category. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, look, again, this was just the way I broke it down.
And I'm now going to enforce the way you broke it down. Since this is officially the start, I feel the alcoholic in me needs to crack a beer at noon.
So we needed a sound effect.
Yeah, there we go.
50 minutes in before we actually got started.
Welcome to Thunderdome of the 100th episode.
Did you just open that with your wallet?
Yeah. Yeah, I did, Jess.
Dang.
Yeah.
And his wallet is wafer thin because his pants are so tight.
That is true. That is true. I don't hear you complaining nightly. Should we start? Jess, do you want to start with your blockbuster picks of what you think out of the blockbuster films? Which ones might stand the test of time?
This is interesting because there was like a lot of overlap
Which is fine.
Okay.
for me.
All right.
Overlap in terms of blockbuster and cult and award winner.
Okay. Wow. The trifecta.
Uh-huh.
All right. What is it?
Mad Max.
Okay.
Yeah. It didn't win too many awards.
But it was nominated.
But it did win. It did win.
Did win a few awards.
Also Star Wars.
The first one?
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah.
Wait, when you say first
She means episode
number 4.
Yeah.
I love that this will always
Okay.
be a thing.
I know. I know.
Which is the first
I mean,
podcast
Star Wars-
I came on.
yeah,
and reviewed
Star
with you
Wars is already a movie that's what? How many years old? It's like 70.
Sure, but
It's already a film that's
yeah, but
you know.
but
Yeah.
she's saying it's still going to be talked about 10 years from now.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that.
Yes. And then I did write Jurassic World.
Yeah.
Not for an award winner, but for blockbuster
Right.
and cult. I feel like the overlaps for the two of those.
But do you think that people will talk about this in 10 years? We'll talk about
I think they're going to talk about it this year because the second one's coming out.
right. But will people talk about
In 10
Jurassic
years.
World?
Ooh.
Don't let him bully you.
Don't
No,
be bullied.
I'm just saying I don't think we're talking about this movie now. You know,
We've
what I
talked
mean?
about it for about 15
No, no,
minutes.
except we're doing it right now.
We are.
Yeah.
We
When
talked
will
about
then
it
be
in
now?
fact.
We talked about it in the
Thank
context
you.
of forgettable
We thought
movies.
that it was over earlier and now it's already back. So I guess maybe.
Wait a minute. You can't use us as a reference point for like what people.
We are
talking
the only
about.
podcast about
You
movies.
write your own article.
Yeah, you literally referenced yourself.
By the way, you realize I didn't write that article, right?
That's what you say.
Okay. All right.
I realize you say that. I realize you might have a ghostwriter. Ooh, what's Shahir's ghostwriter name?
Shahir.
Yeah. Okay.
Richard Bluck.
Now we know. Richard Bullock.
I have a question. Do you think that it loses? Do you think just adding the word world diminishes anything from it? Like,
That's
I feel
interesting.
like, doesn't
Yes.
it cheapen it
Yes.
a little bit? Just the fact that it's called Jurassic World.
It does, because it feels like a video game franchise. I know the worst game in all video game franchises are name of the franchise and world.
Yeah.
Extinction. Or like you just keep upping the world. Like it's like video game franchise, The Reckoning.
Yeah,
and it's like,
Arkham City to Arkham Asylum to Arkham City. That's
and then Arkham Knight. I mean,
Yeah. I personally it has nothing to do with the branding or anything like that. It to me it has everything to do with a movie that just treads water and doesn't do anything. And that's my issue with that movie is that it doesn't do anything.
I wonder though too, if you think about younger people who didn't grow up with Jurassic Park,
That's
that are
true.
seeing World. It's like,
Yeah.
does that carry? I was thinking about that too. It's like, does it carry the weight that Park held for us?
And for younger people who didn't see Jurassic Park growing up, so this is their first encounter
Yeah.
with the franchise. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a valid
Because
reason.
I sat
for why-
next to kids when I saw it, and they were going crazy. They
Right.
loved it.
and I can't believe I'm going to do this, Jess, because I love you, and Shahir and I never sort of agree, but I will go back to sort of Shahir's point about Jurassic World at this point, because like I don't disagree that kids will love it. I do kind of disagree that it will have, when those kids grow up and they rewatch it, if they ever do, it's not going to have the same lasting effect that Jurassic Park did, because Park is a better like a film that, dare I say, stands the test of time. That was my own echo. I didn't hit the button.
I mean, I agree.
Time.
I Park was huge. It's also why I did Hold On to Your Butts when we first started.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says it twice. He says
He
it
says it
twice
twice?
in Jurassic
Oh, really?
Park. He says, "Hold on to your butts" twice, and I'm
I
just
just
like,
remember when the park turns
he
on.
does it twice. I watched. I was like, "Did this?" Anyway,
All right, so we
Solid
got Mad
blockbuster
Max,
choices.
Jurassic World, and what was the other one?
And Mad Max.
And Mad Max. Oh, so Mad Max and Jurassic World.
yeah,
Yeah.
with the two
Okay.
blockbuster ones.
Okay.
Red.
Rid.
Okay, so blockbusters. Blockbusters are hard because most of the blockbusters that you have reviewed really sucked.
Okay.
And also, side note, isn't the term blockbuster, is that from Jurassic Park?
No,
Like,
it's from Jaws.
Jaws, sorry, because there was lines around the quote block.
Yes, yes. So I kind of broadened blockbuster to be instead of like the traditional blockbuster definition, I broadened it to be more like the films that got a lot of people butts in seat and talked about and kind of held their own in their news junkets and took up some time of the 6 o'clock news.
Okay.
So for me, 3 in any particular order: Get Out,
Yep. No, that's definitely a blockbuster.
Arrival,
Sure.
and Captain America: Civil War. Sorry, Shahir, I did mention a Marvel movie.
Yeah, you did.
But you did wait until almost an hour in to do it.
Yeah, so I think all of those are definitely going to be talked about. One, I've already made the argument about Captain America: Civil War being part of a larger universe that will ride nerdom all the way to Valhalla, and
Yes.
Arrival being such a good, exciting science film. Too bad it just looked so weird to me. That was one of the things.
The cinematography, okay.
And then Get Out. Well, I mean, do I need to say more about Get Out?
I think of the, and again, everyone's list is around. Of the 3 that you mentioned, I think Get Out is the most interesting as a film that will be talked about. I can imagine Get Out being talked about in relation to the cultural context for which it came out in the same way that, say, Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song or Superfly or something like that came out. Not to say it's purely exploitational.
No, I also believe that it will be talked about just because of how the audience interacts with it from this point on forward. It is a fantastically crafted film. It meets expectations, it subverts expectations, it does all of the fun film play that we want great films to do.
Right.
And it did it in a way that did not alienate anybody, though lots of white people felt uncomfortable.
Yeah. We went to see it together.
Oh, we did. We held
did.
hands.
At the Cabo. Listen, if you want to hold hands with somebody at the movie theater, you come to the movies with me.
It's because we've decided that if you go to the movies with anyone, you have to hold hands. I think we've set that as a precedent throughout.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, look, it's comfortable.
Just go to movies.
Yeah. No, because Get Out was on my list as well.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons, other than the fact that it is a very incredibly well-crafted movie, and I enjoyed the hell out of it, I've seen it twice now. The thing that I like about it and why I think it will quote stand the test of time is it's going to be, I think, weirdly enough, a start point for more films, like not necessarily horror films, but like more films of that of either sort of like
the Jordan Peele social commentary horror,
kind of, but like it'll eventually go beyond Jordan Peele, but then it like people are gonna see that no shit, these things can be profitable, and like they're gonna it's going to splinter out. And like, think of a young filmmaker seeing that and being like, oh, I can make something like this and people see it and love it.
Somebody like Jordan Peele.
Yeah. Like the next Jordan, like, I just think this is a great starting point for that sort of thing.
And in spite of your excitement, I'm sorry, they're never going to be able to match it. I think it's.
But you never will. But that doesn't mean that people aren't going to shoot for it, and that doesn't mean that it's not going to be the beginning of a larger conversation.
Yeah, and I think that is the qualifier why it is.
I'm sad that I didn't actually put it on my list. Having heard you guys talk about it, I guess I have kind of. I think it's a very, very good film, but I have kind of forgotten the experience, maybe, and maybe the conversation has evaporated around. For me. But it is a very, very good film.
Sure.
And yeah, you're right. It could certainly come back in many years for either the reason that a young filmmaker will see it or the fact that it will be remembered in reference to where it came out of right now.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the films are Mad Max Fury Road. 10 Cloverfield Lane is a film I think...
I love how much you like that movie.
I really did respond to that movie. Maybe it won't be talked about. So I'm just going to give you a list and then pick one that I think is going to be talked about. I think Captain America: Civil War is a very, very is a fine film. It's a very fine film.
Say it again.
No.
Say it one more time.
No. And but
I'll just loop it.
But
It's a really close to fun. The word fine. So
no.
It's very close.
You're just,
One additional letter
Matt's
and
just
one
gonna
word-
edit
one letter
in me
change.
saying fun to you saying fun.
Yeah, I can imagine your accent with my accent tied up. It's a really fun movie.
Thank you for doing it, so I don't have to.
But the thing with that is that it comes off the heels of other movies, so I'm sort of curious as to whether that actually helps or detracts from it. Deadpool, I think, is a very memorable character. I really do think he's a memorable character. I think the problem is he doesn't do the things that you just described Get Out doing. That film doesn't do the thing that Get Out does, which is that it sets up expectations, subverts them, and does something further with it. I don't think it does that, which is why it's not a film for me that is ultimately one that I think that will hold up the test of time. Logan is a film that I think genuinely will probably hold up in many years from now. I think that's a film that we will talk about for the exact opposite reason that we might not talk about Civil War, because it's such a standalone, unique, isolated vision that's very well crafted.
And there's the Hugh Jackman sort of
send off
sort of bit to it that I can.
But ultimately, of all of these, the ones that I think the film that I think is going to stand the test of time is Mad Max Fury Road.
Out of the blockbuster category.
Out of the blockbuster category.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think those are all solid. In fact, we had a lot of crossover, everybody here. So mine, just my last few, obviously, are superhero movies because, hi, I'm Matt. Civil War was obviously my big one. I do think, for instance, you were saying how, like, yeah, like, what if it's because, you know, all of the weight, the heavy lifting's been done by other movies so this can exist? I'm fine with. I mean, everyone knows I'm fine with that. I think that's what, when done well, and I don't think any other company other than Marvel has done it correctly yet. That's what, like, I'm okay with having heavy lifting done in other films so I can get the emotional resonance from a film like Civil War. My only concern, and I've said it multiple times, is that was my story I cared about. Like, I care about these characters, not what the fuck Thanos does. Right. So they're going to have to, I don't know how they're going to make me as emotionally involved with the next chapter of the Avengers, because that, to me, it's the interpersonal stuff. Like, I don't give a shit about the giant fucking blue Titan guy and him gonna destroy the galaxy. Like, I just don't give a fuck. Right. So, like, I'm curious what they have to figure out a way to give me that same level of gravitas based on character for the cosmic stuff. So that'll be an interesting sort of thing. Also, Deadpool. Up there for every reason that Red has said. I also don't think it's funny. The comparison of Get Out and Deadpool are, because they're both the little movie that could.
Oh, that's interesting.
In a very, but they do it in a very different way. Obviously, Deadpool is a character based off a franchise that tons of people like, and they were championing it. This movie was on the shelf for 11 years. They had to do a quote leaked test tape to get people hyped for it, so then they'd make the movie. Blah blah blah. The Get Out is obviously just for lack of a better term, a Cinderella story that like just came out of not nowhere, but like who knew that there was going to be this level?
Yeah, you're right. Because Deadpool, I think everyone was anticipating. Get Out was one of those things that people were like, "Are you going to see it?" And I'm like, "What is it? I haven't seen the trailer."
Yeah. So they both had great financial success. I don't think the argument of, and I might have misheard you, Shahir, the argument of Deadpool not doing, I don't think Deadpool and Get Out are trying to do the same type of subversion. Get Out's trying to do a subversion of not only genre, but then there's a ton of different race issues and stuff like that. But both, and Deadpool is trying to subvert a standard movie, not through line or plot, structure. Even though it does kind of have it at the end, it still kind of spins it around whenever it can. So it's subverting two different things. And I do think that both Get Out and Deadpool are films that we will be talking about in 10 years for one way or another, with the exception if Deadpool 2 comes out and is garbage, and again, I have no fucking clue how they'll do it, then that might diminish Deadpool 1 in a weird way, because these things are connected. So anyway,
what's your one from?
Honestly, it's Civil War. If I had to pick blockbuster, it's Civil War.
Okay.
Oh, but I also, I have one more honorable mention, Lego Batman. Lego Batman is such a fucking delight, and it's a film I know that if I ever came across on TV or if I saw it sitting on my shelf and I had an hour and a half to kill, I would pop it in a heartbeat.
That's an interesting one, though, because I think it's an example, because I think I make a distinction between films that are disposable and films that are forgettable. I think, and to me, forgettable means that I don't care about it. Disposable means I enjoyed it, but I don't think about it again. And I think Lego Batman to me is a film that's kind of disposable, which is that I really enjoyed it when I watched it. Am I going to think about it again? Maybe not. But if it was presented to me again, I'd probably watch it.
There's an interesting moment of that where like you can just sit down, like if it's there, you're like, holy shit, I love this movie, and you'll go. But you're not going to be like thinking about it while you're on the train, being like, you know what I really want to watch? Like it's just, it's one of those things that has to be shown to you.
We don't have that metric anymore with Netflix or streaming. It's not like
it's always
when you
available.
were a kid, like on whatever's on HBO, you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna totally watch this.
The best.
Yeah. But now that you can pick and choose, you don't need to do that anymore.
All right, so the blockbuster discussion's pretty good.
I think we got two for Mad Max. Red, where did you land?
Get Out.
Get Out, and one for Civil War.
So that's, all respectable. I'd like to go into the next set of clips from our wonderful previous guests.
Yay.
Here's a message from my sister in arms in the podcast game. She's got two great ones. One is Ghosted Stories, talking about relationships, and the other is Cabernet and A, the premier Pretty Little Liars podcast. Chelsea White.
Hey, it's Chelsea White, and my favorite movie reviewed on the only podcast about movies is Keanu, because that's the movie I reviewed when I was on the podcast. Did anyone say a movie other than the one they reviewed? What are you guys doing with your lives? Review of Shahir and Matt. They both are just lovely in equal but different ways. They both get participation trophies. You guys are doing great.
That is what a parent says to their kids.
Chelsea's just trying to be like, look, guys, I like you both equally.
Yeah.
She's not going to actually tell us which kid is the favorite. Chelsea, thank you so much for coming on. We have to have you back. And I love that we should all just rewatch Keanu, right? Meow. Next up, Mr. Dan Kouvalakis.
A quick review of my favorite movie that the guys have reviewed. I mean, clearly it was Boyhood. It's near and dear to my heart, and it does have heart, so much heart, though Shahir and Matt couldn't find it in their heart to love it. Shahir, the man has the patience of a saint. It's the only way I think he can get through dealing with Kroll on a weekly basis. I'm sorry, were you asking me a review about Matt Kroll? I couldn't hear you. There was this dude yelling in my ears so loud about Marvel movies.
Okay.
Patience of a Saint.
Patience of a Saint.
I'm
Yeah.
changing your name in my phone contacts to Saint Shahir.
Saint Shahir. Wow.
Also updating the wiki right now.
Thank you. Update all the wikis. And then, okay, thank you, Dan. And here we go from Kristen Veit.
First of all, thank you guys so much for having me on the show. Going on the only podcast about movies to talk about movies was so much fun, and our movie Warcraft was definitely a new genre for me, and it was just a blast, so thanks again. Besides the podcast that I was on, my favorite podcast so far has been your review of La La Land, for a few reasons. One, being that I loved that movie, but two, you took the time to write original lyrics to one of the songs for the intro to the podcast. And I thought that was just really cool and creative and a fun way to, kick off the podcast and get everyone excited for it. So I hope to hear more of that because that was great. Matt, Shahir, you guys make a great team. Shahir, I think you're starting to like fun just a little bit more. And Matt, you're, awesome as always, and always reminding us what Suicide Squad could have been. So thanks for that. So congrats on 100 episodes, guys, and here's to 100 more.
Thank you, Kristen.
I disagree. I'm not enjoying fun.
Oh, well, I disagree that you disagree. You know what, though? You know what's really fun?
What? What? I wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know. Cult films.
Cult film.
They're fine. They're fine.
They're fine. Oh, this is how you can interchange fine and fun between
I like it. Jess on point.
Yeah, just like those movies are fine. Cult films. So these are the films that I think haven't necessarily earned the amount of box office, obviously, that a blockbuster has, and maybe. I think for me, what's interesting about a cult film is a film that finds a very specific audience. Like it's an audience that really, it's the only audience that wants that movie. And occasionally when that happens, that audience then champions that movie outside of their particular sphere, which I think is an interesting thing that can happen. And there are, for example, a film like The Devils that we reviewed on the show, which is a film that has a very specific audience of cinephiles, for example. But somehow that film has come up in conversation 3 or 4 times since we reviewed it. So I think that to me is what an interesting definition of a cult film would be.
Right.
And then we're going to narrow it down to our pool of films. But Jess, do you want to go first on what you think the cult films that we might be talking about?
From the podcast?
Only from the podcast.
Only from the podcast?
That's a rule that if you haven't read the wiki is pretty much rule number 1 other than don't talk about the podcast.
That, and also when you're doing your best films of the year, you use at least one film from the previous year to annoy everybody.
Again, that's a deep cut. That's a really deep cut.
Oh, Shahir does it all the 2 times we've done it.
Yeah.
I don't think of any of the movies that I've seen on the podcast fall into that category.
Okay.
That's fair.
I agree.
Did you have one? I'm curious now because there was the differentiation. Do you have one outside of the podcast?
Yeah.
Flip that notebook. Flip that beautiful fucking notebook.
Yeah.
I wrote Grease really big at the bottom because
I would say Grease 2 might fall into the category of cult.
of cult. Oh, yeah, that's good. That's good.
Whereas Grease, I think, is popular, right?
It's- Yes, and it keeps like resurging. I feel like every like junior high
Yeah.
person like
and
goes
every
through, like,
junior
a
high
Grease
prom for
phase.
some reason watches like this Grease becomes a
Yeah.
theme for some reason.
Yeah, like everyone knows what it is, but
Yeah.
maybe you haven't seen it. Also, Twilight.
Interesting. Interesting. I mean,
Everyone's entitled to their opinion.
that's an awful thing
That
to
was
say.
the polite way of saying no.
I also said it like a question.
I know. Well, okay. For those of you who haven't listened to the 5 episodes that Miss Jessica Tucker has been on, she is quite the fan of the vampire genre in
I mean,
all
Underworld,
ways.
obviously.
And Underworld, of course. Twilight.
Question mark?
I'm
Everyone says it with a question mark. at
I'm
the
curious
end.
because I think
Twilight?
because that was actually like a large franchise. It made a lot of money. There
But
were
didn't it
4
kind of
movies.
5? Didn't it
Was
kind of
it
peter out? Or was it 4 movies?
It's this. The last one was broken
into
half,
2.
So, but the thing is, I feel like that's
5.
to me, and maybe it's because I'm not, and maybe this is the definition of cult, is I'm just not in that world. Is it feels like a set of films that to me are entirely forgotten now, except for like being the starting point of
Okay,
Kristen
so
Stewart's
I'm
career.
gonna run
saw.
to your
Well, you
defense.
saw it if you read the books.
Right.
I think it's
Yeah.
like one of those.
So a cult film. I had trouble finding stuff too. So I had to redefine cult film. I had to go with my gut since we're talking about personal things. A cult film for me is could be a film that's unknown, but more importantly, that it has a rabid film base. That if you put it on a midnight movie, people are going and they're packing the
Yeah.
seat. Like Rocky Horror, obviously a cult film, but at the same time,
The Room.
Yes, The Room. I also think Twilight falls into it because if I put a midnight showing in anywhere America, there are people going to it wearing their team, help me out.
Edward.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Shirts.
Shiny vampire.
I really think so. Yes, absolutely. It's a
Yeah.
cult film. It's a cult film.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
I feel better now.
Yeah.
I'll say it confidently. Twilight.
Well, okay. There we go.
On
You
the
got to put the
opera.
emphasis on the lights. So Twilight.
Twilight. Oh, there's our other light. Spotlight.
Oh, yeah. How is Twilight? How is that not going to make it?
Yeah. Why didn't Twilight win Best Picture that year?
Well, maybe 50 Shades Darker because it technically is Twilight fan fiction. Red, what about you, buddy?
Okay, so going with that cult definition, I have a slightly different, I end up with a slightly different pool of films. So, in no particular order, Logan,
Okay.
Deadpool, and Mad Max. Without a doubt, Mad Max is a cult film. Whether or not it was big or little, rabid fan base, without a doubt.
Okay, but I think a very large rabid fan base that extends beyond
Because it built over years.
Also, I don't think before Mad Max dropped, like I had friends that really liked the original 3, mostly the Road
People
Warrior.
who call themselves toe cutter at night.
Yeah. but I think Mad Max as a franchise before Fury Road is a really great definition of a cult fandom in a way, because it's. What's more cult? Like a cult are things that you don't really talk about in polite conversation, and like almost like it's like not secret, but it's also not just sort of out there. It's not your Jurassic Parks. Like Jurassic Park is not a cult film by any means of the imagination. So like Mad Max would be one of those things where like you'd be in a discussion, say with 4 lovely people, well three lovely people and me, having a discussion about films, and then someone would like quote Beyond Thunderdome, and then one out of the other ones. Yeah, exactly. And then the other person would be like, oh, and then 2 people would be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, that's cult to me.
Yeah.
Now, Fury Road did something interesting because it took the cult and it elevated that cult to the next category that we'll be talking about later, which is award-winning films. I'm talking just about Oscars and whatnot. So, like, I don't know if I don't know if I would consider Mad Max Fury Road a cult film, but the franchise,
The thing is,
yes.
it could have been terrible.
Yeah.
And people
Yeah,
would have
yeah.
still loved it.
True.
Okay. That is
All right, no, touche.
and more importantly, I think midnight showings of this movie will bring people in wearing their "I love whoever" t-shirt.
I just
Team
think-
Furiosa?
I don't think there will be midnight screenings of this film. I think there'll be like 7:00 screenings of this film 10 years from now. You know, like I think people will show this movie. Like I don't think it's a very niche audience. I think it's a big audience for this movie.
I think that I don't disagree with you, but I think that because you can't discount the hardcore niche just because there's a general appeal.
Okay.
Okay. It's like saying like there are tons of furries out there that love Wizard of Oz.
Right.
Everybody loves Wizard of Oz, and if you don't, you're not human. But that doesn't mean there isn't a rabid cult following of like Judy Garland lovers or Flying Monkey lovers or whatever else there is.
Is that the film that you would champion as your cult film? Then Mad Max Fury Road?
No.
No. Okay. Okay.
No, but I think it's a very strong film. But I think Logan is the strongest of those films.
Okay.
And I think again, Logan, huge appeal, but also such a tight core appeal. A group of people that would go and see any movie that Hugh Jackman is in, or any movie that the internet's favorite boyfriend Patrick Stewart is in. like everybody would go see that from the cult gut impulse. And the fact that it's such a great film, the fact that they deliver such a powerful performance, and it's so cathartic for everybody, especially the cult dwellers. We meet on Wednesdays, by the way.
Okay.
I think that's the best film out of that category.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, the films that I think are not necessarily talked about, but I feel have an audience and that audience will grow over time are Pop Star. I'm disappointed that this film didn't do very well.
It's so funny.
It's so good.
It's so funny.
And I feel like it's a film
Pop
that
Star.
like the Lonely Island film. I feel like it's a film that when you kind of like you did with Kung Fury, when you present it to people, they'll be like, "Holy shit! Why didn't I see this in theaters? Why didn't I know about this movie? It's so good." Another one is Enemy. Enemy's a little bit of a harder sell, but I think it's a film that is excellent and has a real audience for it, and it does things that very few films do. And if perhaps in the broader conversation about Denis Villeneuve, Arrival and Blade Runner, it will come up as this sort of interesting touch point for him. I love American Honey. I'm again another film that I'm disappointed didn't find an audience. Really, it didn't do it did really poorly at the box office. But I hope that over time people will kind of revisit and
Do you think that will be like a midnight movie?
American Honey? No, it doesn't. It doesn't scream to me.
Will
midnight.
that be a college campus movie?
I feel like it'll be a film that may be taught in film class, or
College
it might
campus
be. It's also a film. See, there's the other film that it reminds me of is Larry Clark's Bully, which I think is an extraordinary movie, but doesn't really get talked about a lot. But it's like one of those films where, again, if you present it to someone who's open to it.
So you think there will be active evangelicals? Yes, evangelists for this film, like people like, because for me that's cultish. Like I'm not disagreeing. It is definitely a good film, but will you be doing that?
I would personally do it. Like I would definitely show this to people, and I would definitely arrange screenings of it if I can. But I have no friends, so it doesn't really matter.
You have friends. Hey,
3 friends right here.
Hey, slugger.
Okay, let's not get hasty here.
Yeah,
we have 2 friends right here.
Yeah.
My favorite,
almost 50% of us.
Yeah.
My favorite film of 2015, I believe, was The Gift. It's a film that seems to have faded out, and I am disappointed by that. But I don't disagree. I think it's an extraordinary film, but I don't think it
doesn't have a cult. Yeah,
it didn't have mass appeal. The Witch, another one as well.
Yep.
To me, the film that it's already kind of had this conversation around it that has brought it into this level is Children of Men. Children of Men was a film that released, didn't do very well, faded out, and then recently, I guess maybe as we're heading into the apocalypse, has become a conversation point again. But it's also what happens is films that get forgotten are reminded of, wow, that film was extraordinarily ahead of its time, and it still holds up today. I'm a big fan of Alfonso Cuarón. I think it's just an extraordinary movie, and I think for me, this is the one that will stand the test of time 10 years from now.
I've already assumed that was like obviously proven. That's why I didn't even put it on the list.
But remember, this is a film that really did get forgotten up until like the last 3 or 4 years.
I've
like,
certainly never forgotten about it.
Right. I mean, I think we talked about it on our podcast where Matt had said, "Oh yeah, I watched that one time. It was fine, and I've never really thought about it again."
But it
didn't do that well at the box office at the time. It didn't get nominated for any awards. Nobody and it never spawned a style of filmmaking off the back of it either.
No.
It really just kind of came and went. But now I think people are picking up on it.
Well, I gotta admit, I just considered it an obvious thing and never even put it on the list. So thanks for putting it on the list.
And thank you for putting Popstar on the list. I actually just ordered Popstar on Amazon because I was like, damn, I need to own that thing.
I saw you over there shopping.
I was like, yeah, I had to do it because I knew if I didn't do it now, I'd forget. That's such a funny movie. And I really like it. Mine were...
I like that couldn't wait.
I'd forget.
He just zoned out while he was listening.
I listened. I listened and I did both. And I did something that he was talking about. Kung Fury for me is still a cult classic for me, only because it's something that both I had never seen before and that I was already completely familiar with. And if you can tread that fucking knife's edge for me, that means it will be a cult classic.
My only interjection about Kung Fury is I feel like the conversation about Kung Fury isn't over yet because Kung Fury is being spawned. Like the reason that film came out was to spawn a feature film version of that. So I feel like...
But I don't think, and again, I don't think that matters to me because I don't think a feature film version of that's going to work. I think this is the perfect thing that even if the feature film, I'm just saying, if it comes out and it's garbage, people will still be like, fuck, you remember that thing? And people will be like, there was a shorter one? And then it will be like a whole conversation of furthering the cult whirlpool.
And if I may sound like a film snob for a moment, just because it's not a feature doesn't make it any lesser or I have to wait for another qualifier for it. I think it is a complete film in itself.
I just think the conversation around Kung Fury has only just kind of begun.
I'm doing my Nostradamus. I'm predicting.
Okay.
10 years from now, Shahir. 10 years. Also, The Handmaiden.
Yeah, fantastic.
Because that was a movie that was it you suggested or someone wrote in?
I'm presuming I suggested it, but if you have you seen Old Boy?
I'm presuming you suggested it too.
Well, I mean,
yes, I've seen Old Boy. We talked about that.
Yeah, I think Old Boy is a better example of a film that stood the test of time. But
sure, but I think The Handmaiden is going to kind of swing back in a couple different ways. I think that I didn't quite know what it was going in, and it's funny because there's a lot of media these days. There's another film called Handmaidens, and then there's
The Handmaid's Tale,
and then The Handmaid's Tale, and then there's like a whole bunch of stuff about handmaidens lately. So like it kind of got lost in that. I do think that out of
it's so funny.
The
bad
Handmaiden cinematic universe, I think this one will stand out overall because I think
Handmaiden World.
Yeah, Handmaiden Extinction. Yeah. I do think that there's just so much. Like this would be a movie that if anyone had said like, "Hey, we should watch this," I'd be like, "Yep," because I know that I'll find more shit in, and that to me, when you can keep falling down a rabbit hole, feels very culty. And then finally, Swiss Army Man.
Yeah.
I feel like that's almost like that'd be my like winner in this category is because again, it's a movie that like I liked fine, but I could see like ravenous fucking minorities of people just clinging
be one of them
to this movie. No, but I can see it. It has every bit of the minutia that makes a beautiful sort of cult a community. And just because I don't fall into that community,
positive cult community,
I'm not going to put labels on it.
Okay.
But it just has that feel where it's like, oh, the people that are going to latch onto this is going to be their favorite movie, and it's going to be their favorite movie for a very long time. So that's sort of my feeling about that.
Okay. I'm curious though, which is the one that you personally will?
No. I'm sorry. The critique. Your rules did not say I had to like the films that we are putting into these categories. Winners.
Presuming that we would champion a film because we liked it.
No, I'm championing. I'm championing this film
academically,
based on logic, not emotion.
Okay.
So,
so for you, Swiss Army Man.
Swiss Army Man will be the cult film that stands the test of time.
Okay.
But speaking of people that stand the test of time, we have more guest clips.
This is awesome.
Here we go. We are now going to listen to one of my favorite people in the world, a guest from another Star Wars episode, Jessica. Mr. John Friedman.
Hey.
My favorite episode that I heard from you guys is the very first one I ever listened to. It was with special guest Jessica Tucker. I know Jessica Tucker from my work job. It was nice to hear her talking about Star Wars, Episode 4, A New Hope. I believe she hadn't really ever seen any of the Star Warses before, and it was nice to hear someone talking about them. Could you, excuse me a second, could you get away from my car? Can you, what are you doing in my car? Get the fuck off my, get the. Now what to say about Matt Kroll? Excuse me, look, if you're gonna be touching my car every time I'm trying to do, why are you even here? Why are you touching my car? Get the fuck, get my fucking, Kroll is really great as a host on a podcast. Get the fuck away. I especially like those opening crawls he read for all those Star Wars episodes. That was my favorite. I'm gonna you fucking get out of here. Shahir is really good. When I was a guest on your podcast, he sat to my right, and I looked him in the eyes, and he made me feel comfortable about being there. Sorry, just 1 second. Can you please get away from my car? I don't understand why you get the fuck. No, why you? Oh my.
And John Friedman's car was never seen again.
He is a national treasure.
Oh my God, John.
I think that wins the cult review.
Timeless. He's a blockbuster.
So here's the next one. This is from my dad. He did Big Trouble in Little China. And he didn't know how to record this, so it might be a little rough. But I love you, Pappy. Here we go.
Big Trouble Little China. Best Kurt Russell movie ever. It was my pleasure to watch it with my son Matthew and doing an iPod cast on it. Matt and Shahir have done a fantastic job with these reviews, even though I don't know Shahir from my ass, my elbow. But anyway, fantastic job, great 100th. Party on. Talk to you later. Bye.
I love your dad. iPodcast.
He was so psyched to do it, and much to my detriment, because I'm a bad son. I was like, "Oh, I'll help you do it." Da, 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 da. And then we talked a week later. He's like, "You never called to help me do this thing." I was like, "Motherfucker!" So I did it.
Literally, motherfucker.
Yeah. Literally, I was like, "Motherfucker!"
I'm out of
Mark
here.
it down.
All right.
Though that
No
was
more
my
for you.
favorite one. All right, and the next one in this group is this one is crazy, guys. This is from
Like more crazy than John Friedman?
Yeah.
maybe. I don't know. You can be the judge. This is from, and I think it's inspired a little bit by Trainspotting, Mr. Nicholas Parker.
Hi, my name is Nick Parker, and I choose to be from New York. Choose T2 Trainspotting as my favorite podcast. Choose to support Shahir anytime he wants to have fun, even though it's not often. Choose writing the poem 1, 2, 3. Choose Jim Cotta. Choose walking backwards downstairs. Choose Calvin. Choose Matt's simplicity and thought process. Choose Zoe. Choose Shahir's incomprehensible love for Down Under films, but then realized he is New Zealand, not Australian. Choose Matt's gaming and movie intellect as much as it hurts to accept. Choose the beast trying to make it right. Choose life. Choose drive. Choose a backhoe. Choose fighting a bear. Choose wishing you knew about this podcast before you actually did. Choose James Howlett. Choose who knows more about movies, Matt or Shahir. Choose Xander Cage and the endless possibilities he brings to the big screen. Choose The Rock. Choose failed colossal transitions. Choose James Cameron's Pocahontas. Choose almost being the Black Power Ranger. Choose Green Rooms. Choose to Hail Caesar. And finally, choose listening to the only podcast about movies.
I feel like that should be our promo from now on.
It really probably should. I think I'm going to have to pay Nick Parker $1 just so I officially own that.
Yeah.
Wow, Nick. Thank you
There's
so
some deep
much.
cuts in there, like back home.
Yeah. Like back home, which is Hell or High Water, right?
Yeah, Hell or High Water.
All right,
Yeah.
all right. I was like, I think I know where that's from on our thing.
Side note, I think Nick Parker is the person who sees more movies than any human being.
100%. He lives and dies by that movie pass thing.
Yeah.
The one that you can go see an infinite amount of movies a week.
I pretty much, I think instead of masturbating, he goes to the movies, right? Like whenever
All right.
he's bored.
All right. That's 4.
That's 4. Do you really need a timeout?
I'm good.
Okay. All right. So now we're getting into award winners here.
All right.
Jess,
the award winners.
don't sigh.
Remember, you're going to have to champion one film after all of this.
Yeah.
Don't let him
Really?
force
Yeah.
you anything.
Remember your training.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The only one I can speak to is Arrival.
Okay.
That's the only one. And I'll tell you, I didn't see it the way I should have seen it.
How did you see it?
I
Upside
saw
down.
it on my TV in my living room. And I was washing dishes when it started and had to restart it 3 times. And I cried 2 minutes in.
Oh yeah. That intro is kind of great.
Yeah. I was like, wait, I can't wash dishes and watch this at the same time.
No.
I love that. Should be your box quote for this movie. I couldn't wash the dishes.
Couldn't wash dishes while watching this film.
I was like, oh,
Arrival.
I have to pay attention to this one.
I think Amy Adams should read that in the beginning.
No, it was great because I didn't know. I had no idea. I managed to not hear anything about it, even though I waited till after it was out of the theaters.
Yeah.
And so, it was great.
And you're not alone. It's been mentioned on this this conversation of films that will stand the test of time.
Yeah.
4 times.
Yeah, at this
4 or 5
point.
times. Yeah. No, good choice.
I like it.
Red?
Oh yes, award winners. There was a good batch to pull from, and
we were snobby this year. We did do a lot of award winners.
Yeah, I definitely feel that there was some sort of cinema love going on looking at the list. But I ended up with, in no particular order right now, Beasts of No Nation.
Okay.
A film that you guys introduced me to.
Yes.
Just because the podcast itself was so much fun because it subverted my expectations.
Oh.
I remember that being a serious conversation for some reason.
It was, but we got into some weird shit.
Oh, I'm referencing the next thing.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, the next thing. A pigeon sat on a branch reflecting on existence.
Oh, is that okay? You watched that because of the podcast?
I watched that because of the podcast because I was like, shit, here can't be right. So I put it on.
Lo and behold.
Lo and behold. Yeah. Wow.
Did you watch any of the other living trilogy from Roy Anderson?
No, I have a job.
No. Yet, how many Star Wars movies have you watched in a row?
In a row?
Or any time?
Oh.
I'm just saying of other trilogies. You should if you enjoed A Pigeon Sat on the Branch Reflecting on Existence, you should try You the Living or
I will.
Songs from
I will.
the Same Floor.
It's on. I have a vast list. Vast list of things I must watch.
Media debt is real.
Media debt is real, people. And Moonlight, believe it or not. I thought Moonlight was for me. I think these 3 films will be talked about in the future for various things. I think out of them all, Beasts of No Nation, probably for me, I feel that will be a part of a conversation for a long time to come. Maybe just on college campuses, but also beyond what it did, say like bringing us movies directly at home, which is something. It was not technically the first, but it was the biggest headliner and gave other people something really to chew on. This is a good film. It's a serious film, and we're watching it at home first. What does this mean for cinema? And I think that in itself will be always written about in textbooks, and students will be forced to memorize that. The evolution of cinema. But beyond that, it's an emotively powerful film.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
And I think if push comes to shove, it's one of those films that I will recall in 10 years in a conversation where I have to sound really smart.
Okay. But only for that purpose.
Only for that purpose. Yeah. So there you go.
All right. And so Beast of No Nation is the one you're going to champion.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. For me, there are many films in this category. Moonlight and Spotlight are 2 films that I...
And you're a sucker for those lights.
I am, yeah.
New Moonlight.
Yeah, which is why I'm going to go revisit Twilight after this.
Team Edward.
Moonlight and Spotlight. My only concern about those 2 films is the thing I mentioned earlier, which is sometimes the award can end the conversation on that film. And I think that's more so for Spotlight than for Moonlight. But I already feel like Moonlight has kind of like the conversation around that movie is kind of fading away, even though it's these are both extraordinary movies.
Sure.
Well, Moonlight is very dull. It's not a very bright light.
Okay. And
you mean the actual light,
not the film,
right?
I got you.
It fades away every morning, so to speak. The film for me that has
unless you're a vampire
that has won awards that I think will be referred to in conversation for years to come is O.J. Made in America. I think this is an extraordinary piece of cinema. I think it says so much, and I think it kind of made me realize one of the reasons why films why films stand the test of time is that they have conversations that last for a very long time around it. It's you can,
and you're not just talking about the runtime.
I didn't mention the runtime.
You said a conversation that lasted a long time. I just took it.
In all seriousness, no, and I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, but where is the venue to revisit this?
online, like watching it on streaming.
Do you think in the future, with our massive attention span that it is now, and it's growing every day, that people actually sit down and redigest it? Or do you think it's just a good talking point, like everybody says they attempted to read War and Peace once?
Here's a question for you. Have you watched any TV show more than once?
Yes.
And so you have done that.
Yes.
So it is possible to revisit long form things in an episodic nature at home.
Yes, it is.
So I think that's probably the avenue that this will happen in.
Right. But and you think that there is an audience out there to investigate this. Is it through OJ love or is it through cinema love?
I think it's both. Like, to me, the reason why OJ Made in America is so important is it takes a pop culture. It takes a terrible tragedy, examines it from a pop culture standpoint, and then examines it from a legal precedent standpoint, and then from a historical racial standpoint. So it does so much with this one event, and I think it is so much about the way we should think about the world and the way we should investigate events that are happening around us. And it's ironic because it's such a in the footnotes of history, OJ murdering his wife is a very minor note, but it had such large ramifications around it. And I think not one of least of which is this film, which re-examines and recontextualizes it. So for me, this is a film that I believe truly will, without a doubt, stand the test of time.
The fact that it's real makes it much more potent.
Right.
More potent so than I think, other things.
But it's not just to do with the fact that it's a documentary. It's to do with the fact that it treats its subject with such seriousness and with such I guess with the breadth of curiosity that is really assigned to any subject. Like, it really is attacking this from every angle. And that's why I think that film.
Don't forget about how engaging it is too.
Yeah.
This is not no slight to Ken Burns, but this is not a Civil War or baseball. This is very engaging.
Yeah, it's riveting.
I like how even when we're agreeing, it sounds like we're arguing.
Right.
No, but I'm more right about the thing that you are correct on.
I think you're right. It's just I was curious to know why you thought.
I mean, I think you're right for you personally. I do have a hard time thinking that this specific thing, which is done incredibly well. We've gone back and forth. We had a great episode about it. Check it out. It's one of my favorite actual discussions we've had on the show. I just don't think that beyond the cultural fascination we have with the subject matter, I think this is the best thing I've seen on it. There's no question it's the best thing I've seen on it, but it's the subject matter. Yeah, and then I was talking myself back out of it because it's the subject matter that's going to keep pulling this thing back into existence. Even though it is a brilliantly done, albeit I still think a little too long, documentary, it's not going to be my first thought when I'm like, oh, films that stand the test of time. Like, I'm not going to think that. I would almost think even like various this might just be a personal thing for me, but like Bowling for Columbine or something along, even like a Michael Moore thing that like I've thought about and been like, this is if I go, what's a great documentary? I go, bam, this one or that one. This one's not going to pop in, but if I'm like, what's a cultural touch point that everyone can agree on and I'll be like, oh, O.J. Simpson. And then, or not even everyone agree on, but everyone thinks is a cultural touch point. And if I want, I'm like, oh, what's the best thing about O.J. Simpson? It's this thing. There's just like one step for me personally away from like this like lexicon of greatness. Right. But again, that's just because I am part of the attention span generation that Red sort of mentioned. Yeah. And yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Opinions. So did you have more? Or was that was your one?
OJ is my one.
So I have three, and I'm not going to talk about too many, but so Moonlight is one of mine, 100%. I think it's wonderful. That's more of a film I hope stands the test of time than one that I'm sure of. It's so beautiful. It's so wonderful. We've talked about it a bunch. I just, I want it to. I can't guarantee my TARDIS is broken, and I can't quite check that out yet. Mad Max Fury Road, again, I think it's so damn good, and I can't see a world where it's not. Like, I can't see, like, even 10, 20, 30 years. I feel like it's going to be a Star Wars-esque, like, you watch it, and it's still, in Terminator 2, any of this stuff, it still holds up. It's still amazing. There's not a frame of that thing that I would ever be like, it could have been better. And then, lastly, but I think the one that I again hope is going to be standing the test of time is Room.
Not The Room, but the Brie Larson film.
Yes, the Brie Larson film Room is so fucking good. And it's one of those things that sneaks up on you, in my opinion, about how good it is. When we talked about it, even, what was it, back on, episode 25?
Yeah.
Something just clicked in me. And Brie Larson, ever since she was Envy Adams in Scott Pilgrim versus the World, like, I knew there was just something special about her. Like, anything she does, I will watch. And she nails, what was that? Don't get me started on that. We could geek out about that forever.
No. I don't want you to talk about any Marvel Universe. Talk about it.
No,
It's so funny how it's easy to distract.
It's
okay. Get back to your point.
She's gonna be fighting the Kree. No, she and that Roman pig and the little kid in that movie,
Jacob Tremblay.
who did not
get nominated for an Oscar.
It's fucking nuts.
It's funny how I'm finishing his sentences now.
It's great. It's great. We've gotten to that point. So that would be my pick if we're doing
My question to you is, since episode 25, which was whenever it was, do you feel that film has entered the cultural lexicon as a film?
No, but I want it to.
Right. Do you worry that the fact that it hasn't at this moment
I do. No. And
don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Great films, if I may, for a moment, let's talk about something like Goodfellas. Okay,
sure.
Under the radar, not very well reviewed. Comes back so much stronger. One of the best comedies ever made. It's. And I think
clown to you.
I think we can all agree it's an incredible film.
I haven't seen it.
You will agree anyhow. It's an incredible film. Agree.
Okay.
Wow. Right. Thank you.
Red just he did the you talking.
Wow, that was like the dad turn.
He just literally did. Am I amusing to you?
Yeah.
Am I making you laugh?
So
which you won't get because
I didn't get it. It was just really aggressive. So I was like, okay, look away, look down.
So really, it's a good approach.
I think that's one of those films that will return, but it needs somebody later to champion it and go, you know what, we were wrong about this.
Right.
We missed this. This was an opportunity. This is the opposite of the winning Best Picture a curse.
Yeah.
This is something that you goes for a while, and then suddenly everybody's like, we missed this gem.
And also something that the thing that the Brie Larson sort of story is one that's a little bit interesting to me because
Brie Larson story.
The Brie Larson story. Because
Gary
as
Cooper
portrayed by Oprah.
Yeah. I feel like the fact this is what Hollywood does to actors and actresses. So she won.
No, do tell us.
Right? She won, but she won. Obviously, her performance was wonderful, but now they were trying. I feel like they're trying to use. They were using that movie as a pivot point to turn her into like a Hollywood quote starlet that then they can use in like larger scale sort of things. Even though she's doing shit, and I think she's
Who's
kind of
they in this conversation.
Those evil studio guys.
Yep. The Illuminati. But for instance, she's doing Free Fire, which I think is great because I think that's going to be a super fun film. I haven't gotten a chance to see it yet. It's not a super fun film.
I just haven't seen it.
But no, but the three films that she's done since then is Kong, Skull Island, Free Fire, and Captain Marvel.
Well, she's going to do Captain Marvel.
And then there's another film that she's in right now.
Yeah, but so like for instance,
she's doing the Nicolas Cage of post Oscar winning kind of thing.
Yeah, which I think. I mean, again, you look at the way that Hollywood treats their sort of actors and the way they kind of like you're grooming them. Like if Brie Larson wins this award, which I do think she deserved, they can now push her as Academy Award winner Brie Larson. Like it's just a sort of it's a self-perpetuating thing. I'm not saying there's like one governing like or should I say that's what Hollywood sounds like. But I think that altogether the way that the system works does sort of perpetuate this.
So my only thing there is to your point about Goodfellas. I think Fight Club's a film that also had the same experience, which is that it wasn't well reviewed when it came out, and then eventually
I always forget about that fact.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Like how is that even possible in my mind?
Didn't review well, didn't do well. Sort of found a home on DVD. Goodfellas. Similarly, Citizen Kane, similar thing. Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo. I just found out that was a similar thing. My point is to all of those films, I think there's a recognition that those were extraordinary films when they came out. They just didn't find an audience. I'm slightly less assured of that fact when it comes to Room.
Because you're less enthusiastic about the film itself.
And the thing is, everything we've talked about isn't about the film itself.
I was just using sort of culture.
But to your point, my thing here is that it's a very, very good film. Is it the best film about that topic, or is it a really great exploration of that? I think it to me, the reason why I'm less enthusiastic about that as potentially,
it's because you hate children.
Yes, I hate children.
As the only person in the room with a child.
Yeah, definitely hate children.
Irony.
Is that I'm less enthused about that film. It's a very, 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 very good movie. I think it's a very small movie, but it does have. I will say one of the reasons it could potentially come back is that one sequence in it that is extraordinary, and it's one of the most nail-biting scenes in any movie that I've ever seen.
The truck sequence.
The truck sequence, it's extraordinary.
I've been quiet because I haven't seen it. What is it about?
It's about, so Brie Larson and her son, actually, I'm sorry, let's rewind. Brie Larson is kidnapped when she was, 17? Something like that?
I think you're burying the lead here, which is that it's a film about a mother and a daughter, mother and son trapped in a room. And
they've been kidnapped.
And the son, well, no, I wasn't burying the lead because
I think you were leading with the spoiler.
Well, maybe. I don't know. You won't remember. Anyway, the bottom line is the son has never been outside this one room. And the mother's trying to keep him sane. And you figure out certain things about it, and then the whole movie pivots, and then it's about sort of adjustment, and like it's super interesting.
It's an excellent film.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on. We got one more set of guest speakers,
and then we throw down the gauntlet.
So this, we got some fellow film critics going down on this little group.
Down on
they work in print media.
On what?
Right? Print media.
Yes, you missed me saying that.
What?
All right, here we go.
I did miss it.
We're gonna. It's strike 5.
Give him another strike.
No, because if he gets one more, he's out.
6 strikes, he's out. Okay,
baseball
this is Jerah Milligan from Black Men Can't Jump in Hollywood. A beautiful podcast. I don't know what they're about though, because
we're the only podcast about movies.
So I'm guessing it has something to do. Maybe it's about the studio system. Jerah, take it away, buddy.
So the only podcast about movies has reached 100 episodes. I don't know why y'all call it that, because clearly there are other podcasts about movies. But maybe you guys are just in denial. Anyway, so let me review how you guys have been doing. Shahir, you gotta watch movies that have a little bit of joy and silliness sometimes, okay? Everything doesn't have to be all dramatic and sad for you to like it, all right? Buck up, guy. Have some fun. And Kroll, like better movies, okay? That's the thing. You like movies that are so silly, and some Marvel movies that I'm like, this movie is bad. So just be better about your movies. And for which movie is going to stand the test of time that you guys reviewed? How the hell am I supposed to know? I'm not a fortune teller. Dummies.
Thank you, Jerah. I always thought you were a fortune teller.
I think that's why we have him on the show. Really.
I thought he prognosticates, and we understand.
I feel like his entire review of you and me was basically spend a day in each other's shoes.
Yeah.
It was like, I think basically.
Which we will never do, because actually we probably, even though you're like a foot taller than me, I think we have the same size foot.
No, maybe. You know what they say about guys with...
I knew he was going to say that.
That is
big clubs. All right, we're moving on to my brother from another mother, Mr. Steven Buja from Same Night Movie Review and Oscar Watch podcast. Again, I don't know.
Oh, no, I know this one. They literally just look at a gold statue.
Oh, for an hour and describe it.
For an hour, they just keep saying it.
All right, here we go. Steve, take it away.
Hey everyone, this is Steven Buja here. I just want to say a few words about Matt and Shahir. Fun fact about Matt is that every time Matt mentions the MCU, a mutant gets his powers. And Matt gets paid a 5-cent check. He doesn't cash it though, he just sort of swims around in them, like Scrooge McDuck. And Shahir, Shahir the worst, am I right? So intelligent, well-spoken, and that stupid, sexy accent, and even has amazing hair. Fuck that guy. Together, they make great music, and you guys are unbeatable, and I enjoy getting to be a part of this show every now and then. Here's to 100, and at least 10 more, but hopefully hundreds, if not thousands of more episodes from you guys. Peace and love. Take care.
Was he hiking in the Appalachians again?
I mean, so Steve is a hiker. Thank you so much, Steve. Much love to you. And your new family, he just had a daughter.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah, Steve is a hiker. He's done both the Appalachian and the Pacific Northwest Trail. Yeah, Pacific Northeast. That'd be weird. Yeah, and do you want to intro our last one? Do you know who it is?
I would. Can I just?
Would you
make
love
up?
to?
Is it
Make it up. Here we go.
Is it Barack Obama?
It is a Barack. Oh, it's even better.
Oh, Ivan. Yeah, Ivan from Reviewed Podcast, friend of the show.
He better like Shahir's hair.
That's been the running theme.
Yeah, I know.
All right, next one is Ivan. Take it away.
Greetings, Shahir and Matt. Congratulations on your centennial episode of being the only podcast about movies. So, as requested, here are my reviews for you. My favorite film you all reviewed was Boyhood, believe it or not, because actually I love that movie, and you both kind of hated it. But that's a good thing because it made me think about the film in kind of a new way and made me reappraise it and analyze why I like it and all that good stuff. I think too often we as film fans self-select opinions and sources that agree with our own. So I like it when a podcast can make me challenge my own tastes. So even though I still like Boyhood quite a bit, I feel like your review kind of gave me a new perspective on it. So that's my favorite review. Here's my review of Matt. Matt is my Marvel brother from another mother, and although I tend to agree with Shahir's takes more often, I dig the fact that Matt actually likes to have fun. Also, I want to get one of those Batman voice changers that make me sound like Matt when I talk. Basically I want to change my voice so I can sound like Matt all the time because he has the voice of God. He was meant to be a radio DJ. For my review of Shahir, I guess let me get this out of the way. I'm going to suck up a little bit. I'm biased because I have an infinite amount of respect for Shahir. He's one of the most erudite film fans that I know. And although he most certainly hates fun, that's a downside, I still have a blast listening to him analyze movies, so I give him 4 obscure French art films out of 5. Again, congratulations on 100 episodes. Here's to 100 more.
Aw, thanks, Ivan. The only thing I would say is if you want Matt's voice, and this seems weird, is you got to wear really tight pants.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what...
Keep all that power in there.
Tight T-shirts.
You got to make
pants.
sure. You got to make sure it's contained.
And the other thing is, it obviously is the case that I must really spend a lot of time doing my hair before we come into the studio every episode because it seems to be a thing.
It's great hair.
It's great hair.
It's,
You know when you're like on a blind date and you can't find anything nice to say?
That's what it is.
Anyway, Ivan,
had
thank you
great
so
hair.
much. Thank you so much for
And thanks to all our
everybody,
guests.
guys.
Thanks to all our guests who've appeared on the show.
Yeah.
And who've taken the time to spread the word about 100 episodes of only movie podcast madness extraordinary. I really lost the train of this thought.
It's okay, but like the fact that so many great podcasts, some of which apparently about movies, we have to do more research. We have to do more research.
I still think we're the only ones.
That they've come on, these guests and just people from all across our lives that have been on here, especially you guys, Red, Jess. I know we're getting into a little bit sappy stuff before we reveal our final things, but I mean, you guys being a part of this has been wonderful, not just tonight, but for the whole almost 2 years we've been doing this. So thank you very much to the both of you, and
Thank you.
to everybody who's been a part of it. But now I feel like I want to get the lovey-dovey stuff sort of out of the way.
I have a lovey-dovey thing to say.
Okay.
Shahir, I want to defend you because I don't think that you hate fun.
What?
I think that your brand of fun looks a little bit different than everyone else's, but I think you're still a very happy, smiley person and you are having fun, but it's just like different fun.
Aw, thanks, Jess. Yeah, I think you and I should go see Twilight together.
Yes.
and then
Yes.
see how
Yes. Yes. Tell you what.
Episode 100.
You can watch Twilight here, and I'm going to leave, but I'm going to put a camera pointing at the couch. And I want to just catch your facial expressions. He's going to watch Twilight. Shahir's going to watch Twilight. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
That was very nice of
Thank you, Jess. I appreciate that. Yes, I think my brand of fun is slightly different in that I want fun to actually be fun. Matt.
Okay, well, I mean, you have to know the definition first. Okay, so final test of time.
Yeah, test of time.
Who wants to do it? Jess, you have been starting us off. I'm going to give you the option to start us off, or I'm going to give you the option to finish it.
I'll start it.
Okay.
I'll start it. Well, I have to go back to if I'm factoring in blockbuster, cult, and award winner, the only one that I feel like touches on all of those is Mad Max. I feel like if I'm going to champion one, I have to champion that.
Yeah.
Fair choice. And that's a film you think in 10 years' time, 20 years' time, will still be part of the cultural lexicon. It'll be a film that will be talked about, will be revisited, will be championed, will go on to have many reissues of DVDs.
Stay on target.
Don't let them pressure you.
Stay on target.
I'm just saying. I'm asking.
Because we're coming back in 10 years.
Yeah.
May not be this room, but we're going to be.
Hey, Google, remind me. No.
Mm-hmm.
About that. I mean, I feel like
That was not staying on target.
That's kind of the criteria.
I feel like of all the movies, I'm sorry, did I like blow your eardrum out?
No. I'm
Like you have one other eardrum. That's the only rubbing one of them. It's the only movie I saw in the theater more than once on this list.
Okay.
I mean, but can I not say Star Wars?
No, you can absolutely say Star Wars.
Okay,
you
then
can say any film that we've reviewed.
I feel like it has to be Star Wars then.
And I think the thing about Star Wars is it's already done that.
Yes.
It's
So it's
clearly.
safe.
She's saying it, but she's saying it still be in 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, look, things have been super popular for 30-something years and then gone away.
Yeah, and then come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, like
I feel bad. I feel like I changed your mind.
Because I felt like when we started it off, I couldn't say Star Wars because you had said it had already done it.
But that doesn't mean you don't have to listen to me for one.
he bullied you.
My whole persona is based on not listening to him. You don't have to do it.
You don't have to listen to a word.
Okay, then I'm changing my answer to Star Wars.
Okay.
Which one?
I have to do the
It's got to be one movie.
1976 version, the first one.
The first one. A New Hope.
The fourth one.
The fourth one.
May the force be with you.
The fourth one.
Wow, we did that roundabout.
Star Wars World.
Extinction. All right, good. Starlight Wars. Red.
Okay. Well, this is a difficult one because that's assuming there is one.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to put it out here as a possibility. Not that I believe this, but maybe, just maybe, out of 100 films, there isn't one.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
I thought you were going to go the opposite route, which is say they could be more than one.
But I don't believe that.
Right.
But I think it should be considered that we only have 100 films. And if we're talking about a film that has so much impact,
Okay.
that's a lot of pressure you put on us, Shahir.
Yeah.
That is unfair.
Okay. Broaden the pool outside of our film.
No, I don't care. No. I stayed within your rules.
Okay.
And there was a couple of other factors that I need to enumerate. I haven't seen all the films that you reviewed.
Okay.
You punks. Okay. So that's hard. Because I probably haven't seen something that may be better than my final conclusion.
You should jump into the very lucrative career of film review.
Yeah. We're really banking on this.
Yeah.
Rake it in cash.
Yeah, I can tell. God, they're so rich.
We're so switty.
Can't afford air conditioning in the studio.
100 degrees.
It
on
is
the
so
100th
hot in
episode.
here. I think at the end of the day, following your rules, minus the subsets that I have to go, I'm gonna go with Get Out.
Okay.
And it's because, as I've said before, it touches on a lot of things. There's a certain universal uncomfortableness that it provides every audience member. Not only that, I don't want to be the white guy that's talking about the state of our race relations, especially since our last president of the United States couldn't even really dig into that. So
it wasn't permitted to, or
it's just, it was hard to become part of a conversation because it's a conversation we've been having or been trying to start since, since 2 centuries ago. So
it's the original sin of America.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But because we're always going to be having this conversation and because Mr. Peele found such a great way to talk about what it is right now, or at least from his experience. And also, I'll be honest with you, from my experience, I was like, this is great. There's a universality to it that is palpable. That I think that even if we get better at our relationships, race-wise, we're still going to have the awkward moments of meeting the parents, and what if they turn out to be killers?
Yeah,
I mean, there's so many layers.
I was just going to go, what if they turn out to be racist? But you took it to another level.
Well, as the film did.
I'm saying, what if we get rid of the racism? Right? There's still a lot.
There's still a lot of murderers.
Yeah.
There's a lot there. It's a great horror film, and I think, as we discussed, it's the smarter horror films like Silence of the Lambs, Jonathan Demme, that will last much longer than the other kind of like jump scare movies. And because of that, it's got a lot of energy behind it. And if you say anything other than Get Out, you were factually wrong.
Okay.
Shahir?
I'm gonna say something other than Get Out.
Okay.
No, it's funny. It's weird to me that I actually didn't put it down on my list anywhere, and I'm sort of kind of questioning why didn't I do that?
You
And
were
I
in the
was-
sunken place.
I was in the sunken place about Get Out, and I didn't think about it enough. I definitely wholeheartedly agree. I agree with both of you. Jess, without a doubt, Star Wars has already met that definition of standing the test of time. It has entered the popular cultural lexicon to a point where it's impossible to avoid it. Get Out, I think, is a good candidate for doing a similar thing, but probably not in a sort of more popular way. It's not going to franchise toys or sell Star Wars Happy Meals or anything. Get Out Happy Meals.
Oh my God. They'd come with like a deer head and racism.
Yeah. Well, I was like thinking too, like things of like what would like kids see and like also my grandparents have seen.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think Get Out is more of a candidate in the same way that Goodfellas. No, it's not even in the same way of Goodfellas because it was popular when it came out. I'm not, I guess I
think it'll just have opportunities to be rediscovered over and over.
Yeah, and I guess at this point I felt like Get Out was a really good starting point for the career of Jordan Peele, and I feel like he's going to go on to do bigger
The cinematic starting point?
Yeah, for his filmmaking career.
But what's yours, buddy?
But for me, I actually the same reasons as Get Out. But I think OJ Made in America is going to be the film that will stand the test of time.
Wow.
But for the same reasons, because I think it is an important conversation about race in America. I think it does it really systematically but in a way that is entirely riveting. I think it'll be talked and taught about. I agree. As soon as I say it, it's not going to you're not going to have midnight screenings of it like you might of Mad Max.
No,
Mad
but I could see it being put on the television in history classrooms.
Yeah. And I think it's going
America.
to stand the test of time. So if we're coming down to films that I want to stand the test of time versus films that I think will be popular, I'm going to go with films that I want to stand the test of time, and I want OJ to stand the test of time because I think it's an important historical document of our time. And for example, D.W. Griffith's Birth of a Nation is a film that stood the test of time for the exact wrong reasons, and I feel like OJ Made in America is a film that should stand.
It did give us cross burnings.
It also gave us cross cutting. But that's the reason why we talk about that film.
So many crosses to bear.
So I think for me, I'm gonna put my money on OJ Made in America. I would have liked to have put my money on Moonlight, but I feel it's weird that an Oscar win can detract from that slightly. But I'm happy to put my money on OJ Made in America.
Yeah, I mean, I've already done the disagreeing thing, so it's all our picks and rock and roll. I was kind of hoping that we'd have a match like that, so like out of the four of us, we could have a definitive winner because I'm all about winning. But I was this close, Jess, because mine is Mad Max Fury Road.
Ooh.
And so I was like, huh? And then Shahir took it away from me. No, technically you did. You did it. You did this. No, I think Mad Max Fury Road 100% will be a film that keeps getting brought back and crosses the most of our if I'm going for sheer number in a weird way, like it crosses or checks off most of the boxes out of all of the things that we've talked about. Will it be shown at midnight screenings and be sort of a favorite to the masses and sort of the non-masses for a long time? Yes. Will it if it's on TV or if it's on somewhere where you're watching it, if it's available on a plane, will you watch it again? Absolutely. Will I be thinking on the subway or when I'm traveling and something reminds me of like, oh, what a lovely day. And I'll be like, oh shit, like I want to watch Mad Max again. Like there's just so many instances where I can see myself and others wanting to rewatch this film. I think that overall it checks so many boxes, and I think that's why I think out of all of us in 10 years, Mad Max Fury Road. It's so weird because it's our first episode we ever did, and I felt so weird writing that down, like, oh, well, we haven't gotten a better movie since number one.
It's hard.
It also isn't. I don't think we're talking about like
better. I know.
And also, one other thing I want to stress is that I think all the movies we've picked will be around in 10 years. Like, it's not, like there's no...
we're being very confrontational for the sake of entertainment.
Yeah, but there's not like one movie only. There's not a Highlanders kind of scenario.
Even Highlander isn't a Highlander because there's more than one Highlander movie.
True.
Yeah.
But one is non-canonical.
That's the sound of brains exploding.
Highlander 2 drool.
Matt, before we go out, I brought you a present.
What?
Because it's our 100th episode.
Oh, no.
And I thought I was thinking about movies that stand the test of time. There's one movie that you've referred to many, many times that I feel like you don't think about enough, or maybe you do. I don't know. It's about a man going on trying to.
If this is about drive, I'm gonna fucking bullshit across the table.
It's about a man really, really upset at the loss of his dog.
Oh wow! Oh yeah, it's John Wick.
Umberto D. on the Criterion Collection.
Oh my god!
I think,
and I don't have the Blu-ray. I have the DVD. This is awesome,
and it's for a couple of reasons. Because I think
same plot as John Wick.
Same plot as John
Umberto D. Oh my god!
It's like the prequel, right?
1952 Criterion Collection. This is one of my top fives.
Exactly.
The most loving embrace of a dog I've ever seen.
It's so good. And you want to cry, Jess? You want to fucking cry? This is the movie.
You want to cry?
You want to cry,
Jess?
That sounded so
No one's
violent.
asked me that in a long time.
This is why you don't do so well on Tinder.
Side note, I've been doing great on Tinder. Actually, more Bumble. Bumble's better. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And it's just because I also wanted to give you a Criterion Blu-ray because I think part of the act of choosing a film of test of time is curating it in some way, curating it and talking about it and creating a discussion. So that's why I'm a big fan of the Criterion Collection. And I wanted you to have that, and I think it was appropriate.
It's funny because I watched this maybe like 3 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
And I was like, man, like DVD's fine, but like, I wish I had the fucking Blu-ray of this. So thank you very much.
I am your genie in a bottle.
Oh, you're gonna rub me the right way. Well, guys,
wait, that's a strike for Matt. Surely,
it's a quote from a famous song.
Doesn't matter.
Okay,
it's a strike.
Does that sound timeless though?
No,
it's a strike for Matt.
And guys, I mean, I wanted to get everyone at least a special little beverage. So I got us the most expensive beverage money can buy. Martinelli's sparkling cider.
Open it with your wallet.
I'm gonna open it with my wallet.
Yep.
It's not gonna have the same cork noise as we're used to for champagne, but that's the kind of joint we run.
And I don't drink alcohol, so
It's true. So I got us little flutes.
Oh,
I got us little flutes to drink this
They've
out
been
of.
here the whole time.
Yeah,
I didn't even notice.
Well,
Me neither. They're
I
empty.
just- yeah.
So.
They're
Matt,
all
if it means
empty.
anything, I noticed. I mean, they were
Are you
sitting
gonna
directly on the
drink
table
yours
in front
out of a beaker?
I love science, so yeah.
Oh, I thought that was like a mana pot.
No, it's both. Can it be both? I'm
What's the
pouring
name of
right
that
now.
beaker? There's a name.
Oh,
for
this
that
smells
style
so
beaker.
good.
Yeah. Listen, guys,
my
I know
wife
everyone
wouldn't
doesn't have the drinking problem that I used to rate movies with alcohol. I feel like this has saved me.
we've grown up.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm filling my beaker.
Meh.
All right, well, here.
She got it.
Thank you to everyone in this room for making my life better and watching movies with me. And Shahir, thank you so much for being a wonderful co-host and good friend. And I'm glad to now be living in your backyard.
Yeah.
I
feel awkward about it.
No, it's fine. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers. Here's to 100 more.
Nothing's more inviting to an audio listening than listening to people drink Martinelli's sparkling cider.
And then smacking their lips afterwards.
Nom, nom, nom.
This episode was brought to you by
Martinelli's. Guys, this has been the 100th episode of the only podcast about movies. I cannot believe we have been doing it for as long as we have, and I would love to keep doing it forever.
And I want to do a 10-year anniversary when we try and figure out if these picks actually hold up.
Can we make it? At 10:30, not 11? Because I have something at 11. I've already moved it twice.
Yeah, 2026.
Yeah. I just got a trapper keeper full of appointments. Wet Hot American Summer, movie that'll stand the test of time. Guys, Shahir, when we're not patting ourselves in the back for 2 hours, where can folks find you?
You can find me at ShahirDaud.com. That's ShahirDaud.com with all my Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook bullshit on there.
Fair enough. Red, if people wanted to hunt you down, I know it's difficult on the interwebs, but where should they start the ARG that is your life online?
Okay, you can start following the trail that is the red breadcrumbs.
Okay, the red breadcrumbs.
Yes, the red breadcrumbs. The breadcrumbs.
Breadcrumbs.
Where can they do that?
At Crankshaft59 on Twitter.
Okay.
That's Crankshaft59.
on Twitter.
On Twitter.
Jessica, if someone was so enamored by the loveliness of your voice and opinion, where could
We've
folks?
got many
We have.
Yeah, many
Really?
people.
Where could aspiring vampires find you in order to be sired?
You can.
Again, how well are you doing on Tinder?
Very well. I have. Jess, tell.
Jealous.
Where can folks find you?
If you want to see me cry on Instagram, I'm at Jess Tucker
She'll be watching Umberto D.
and not hear my voice on Twitter. I'm at Mother Tucker, MOTHATUCKA.
Nice, thank you. And
Matt, where can we find you coming up with crazy reaching puns?
you can find me on Tinder and Bumble and Hater, which is really kind of fun. Also, side note, I've been getting a lot of great, girls on guys too have a whole thing about swiping left like swipe left if you can't handle me at my worst and you don't deserve me at my best. Like that sort of like just weird stuff.
Yeah, I find that weird.
I do too. So I put one, and mine is swipe left if you main Hanzo. Red got it. It's an Overwatch joke. It's deep, nerdy video game talk. I've gotten more actual dates off of that line. It's been amazing. So if you want, guys, if you're looking for dating advice,
That's it. I'm amazing from now on.
you should. You can find me.
Have a wife.
Doesn't mean I can't shop around, my friend.
Oh my God.
Don't put your sex normative culture onto me, man.
All right.
You can find me at Skeletor, the number 4 PREZ on Instagram, Emperor MSK on Twitter, or Matthew Kroll, MATTHEWKROL.com for my life and works. Yeah, I don't know. Does anyone have anything last minute things they want to say before we go out? Because next week, I mean, we're going to go back to normal, and it's going to be 101, and it's not going to be special until 102.
I got to say, this has been great, and I enjoy all of your guests. I do have a favorite. I'm not going to mention who it is, Dra, but one day I really hope to do something special with him. And
you can find him.
Is that a strike? Is that a strike? Jess, check the book.
Yeah, you just got your own little.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm in the wiki.
I also, you got to go with the shopping around on Tinder as well. Come on, I'm just inappropriate. I don't do bad things.
Yeah, you get to. You're still winning, Shahir.
Of course.
Double.
But also, you guys really, again, you've brought so much to the table, being not only the only podcast about films, but just making us think and talk, and whether we agree or not agree, you're really helping make a positive contribution to the community of cinema and the community of fun. Maybe
we can do both. Like I said in the beginning, is it too much to ask for both?
Also, that's it. Okay. Also, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well, guys, seriously,
thank you so much.
Thank you so much, both of you.
Appreciate you guys being here for the 100th episode.
And
So fun.
we'll see you. Well, everyone will be back.
Yeah.
Everyone will be back.
See you on the internet.
Oh, by the way, when you sat down, there's a demonic contract that now you have to keep appearing on the show. I'm so sorry.
There's a skeleton behind me, and I was wondering what happened
he's
to that
over
guy.
there.
What
There
happened
he
to
is.
him?
Don't worry about it. But he's been reviewing for a long time.
I literally thought you were going to say, when you sit down, there is a voucher underneath your seat for a new car. You get a new car. You get a new car. You get a new car. And we're getting out of here now.
See you for 101.
Ouvra.
Wait, let's end it with that. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Ouvra.
Ouvra.
Fuck.